And now the next case.
All parties on Williams versus Hume. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Jennifer Williams is suing her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old student Michael Hume, for attorney's fees, money loaned, and for kicking down her door.
Miss Williams, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours. I gather you were arrested on some sort of a warrant from when you were a juvenile. Is that right?
Yes, probation violation.
And at that time, according to you, Miss Williams, he's in jail, and you loaned him some money to buy some socks and other toothpaste, I guess, combs,
Yes,
shaving stuff. That wasn't a lot of money. How much was it?
$200.
Did he ask you for that money?
He asked for the money to be put in his account. I said I would do it as long as he paid me back.
Did you say that to him?
Yes, I did.
You remember that?
Not at all. I don't.
Do me a favor, don't laugh.
Sorry.
Did she put any money into your account?
Yes, she did.
How much?
She said 200.
How did she know you needed money in your account?
Well, I made phone calls.
And what did you say?
I said that we have commissary and I would like some money, and she sent me money. Some of that money, I was under the understanding that some of that money came out of one of my paychecks when I was working security before I was incarcerated.
Did you have any paychecks of his that he got after?
No, ma'am. None of the money that was put into his commissary account came out of his paycheck. That all came out of my paychecks.
Where was his paycheck?
At Sandy's house, who was his employer at the time. It was at her house.
So you never got his
No,
paycheck?
ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about the lawyer, because that's a much bigger bill. You say that you paid for his lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was that?
Well, I had thought it was $1,100. I have the receipts. It says it was $1,200.
But you sued for 11.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's it.
Okay. Tell me how come you paid for his lawyer?
I went to go see him in jail. It was originally understood he was going to get a court-appointed lawyer. Then he had called me and said he didn't want a court-appointed lawyer, that he had wanted a real lawyer. And then the next day when I had gone to see him in jail, I told him I would pay for the lawyer as long as he paid me back when he got out of jail.
A lot of that is false.
Just tell me the story, sir.
Okay.
And try standing up straight and looking at me.
Sorry.
Good. Now, looking at me. I'm not there. I'm here.
Okay, sorry. I told both her and her mother that I was fine with a court-appointed lawyer. I didn't agree to pay them back at all. I also, it was never in writing or anything. I'd never said that. It was just never said. I was just under the understanding that she was paying for my lawyer to be nice because she loved me, blah, 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 you know.
There's a lot there to love.
Thanks.
Well, if you didn't want her to pay for your lawyer, and if you were just as happy with the public defender, why didn't you just say to the lawyer when the lawyer came to see you in jail, I have a lawyer, thank you very much, I don't need a lawyer?
Well, I didn't have a court-appointed lawyer yet.
So you had no lawyer and you're sitting in jail?
Not yet. I hadn't.
Just pay attention.
Okay.
You had no lawyer, and you're sitting in jail. How old are you?
19.
Had you been in jail before?
Yes.
For how long?
Around 2 months.
Did you know her then?
No, no, I did not.
When you met him, had you known that he had spent some time in jail?
The first time I met him was when we were both working at Friendly's. I didn't find out he was in jail then until the third week we knew each other. We weren't dating yet.
But then you found out that he had been incarcerated. Did you know what for?
Over the months we had dated, he had explained things. All I knew is that he had a probation violation, possession of marijuana, possession of a controlled substance, eluding the police. List goes on and on.
You're still on probation?
No.
So you're not drug screened anymore, is that
No.
right?
Correct.
How did I know that?
You're really intelligent.
You're really right. What else?
Well, as far as him for telling you that he had never said he would pay me back, my witness was there at the time. She is my mother. She was in the room with us when he said it.
Let me hear you. Miss Williams?
Yes.
Let me hear what you heard. Where were you first?
We were in the lawyer's office. His father had mentioned, I'm not going to pay for your lawyer. And Michael had said, I will pay you back.
So you were all sitting together?
Yes, and the first time we had talked about the lawyer, I had gone with my daughter to see him in jail. And he said, don't worry, Ma, I'll pay you back when I get out of jail and I get a
is
job.
that what he called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What else?
He put a hole in my door, my bedroom door, when we were fighting one night.
Forget it. Let me tell you something. Was this after he got out of jail?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
After he got out of jail, I wouldn't have let him back in my bedroom at all.
And I was very stupid to do so.
It's fine. Then you pay for the door out of your own stupidity.
All right.
Where are you working now? What is that around your neck?
This? Necklaces.
One or more?
2.
What are they made out of?
Just aluminum and metal.
Where are you working now?
Right now, I'm actually not working. I'm applying, though, at various jobs.
Who are you living with?
I'm living with my friend.
This friend?
No, not this friend.
What kind of friend?
He restores cars.
What else does he do? Does he sell? Is he a business person?
No, not at all.
Does he sell anything
No.
other than restoring cars?
No,
No.
People want him to sell his car, but he won't do it.
I wasn't talking about cars necessarily. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may...
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Little versus Whitlock Whitehead. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Crystal Biddle and her mother Gail are suing schoolteacher Darlene Whitlock and her brother, 25-year-old student Dale Whitehead, for the value of a totaled car.
What's your first name?
Crystal.
Crystal. Is this your mom?
Yes.
And yours?
Darlene?
I'm Dale.
According to your complaint, you had cars in school. You were in school and you were in school. Is that right?
Correct.
And you had one car, you had another car, your cars were parked next to each other in a parking lot. Is that right?
Yes.
Your car, without any indication of any fault on your part, you weren't even there, caught fire and was destroyed.
Correct.
Your car was next to his car and was also destroyed.
Yes.
You want them, you're the owner of the car,
Yes, ma'am.
to pay the cost of a new car or a replacement car.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Go ahead.
Well, I should not be tormented for somebody's car who had electrical problems shoot into my car and start on fire. It's not fair
How
to
do we
me.
know that the car had electrical problems?
In the report it says...
Can I see the
yes.
report, please? Let's see what it says. So there are several cars involved in this, and it's clear that, according to the fire report, it says the Ford van was the vehicle that the fire started in the electrical wiring.
Yes.
So why don't you sue Ford? What are you suing him for?
He's the one who owned the car.
Would it be my fault?
Just a minute. Why didn't you have insurance on your car?
I had liability insurance.
Yeah, but you don't have collision, you don't have damage.
That's just...
This is, look, I'm trying to think of an example to give you that would probably make it more palatable to you. When there is a fault, you target the person who's at fault, person or entity that's at fault, if they cause you injury or damage, right?
Yes.
He was not at fault. He didn't create this car. There is no indication that he was aware or the owner of the car was aware that there were electrical problems with the car. So certainly they're not at fault. Now, are they absolutely liable for anything that happens as a result of their car? No. Not at all. What happens if they're driving along the street and a boulder hits their car and their car swerves and hits into your car? Certainly not their fault, because they didn't do anything that was negligent. So what you have to do is you have to have collision if you want to be fully protected, or else go after the people who made the car. If there was faulty electrical wiring, isn't that what you were told?
No.
Well, what were you told?
We were just told to file a claim against the owner and the driver of the vehicle.
For
because-
what?
Well, the vehicle was smashed in the front end of the vehicle, and the insurance company that he had didn't even send anyone out to look at their car to see if there was any evidence of any
This
problem.
is the fire department report. Fire department report says that it was an electrical fire.
Right. Well, what we were saying is that we believe that there probably were problems with the van that they were aware of.
Show me. Just a minute. Then if what you're saying to me, Ms. Biddle, is accurate, that they had knowledge that there was something wrong with their car, and yet drove it, and thereby placed other cars at risk, then they would be responsible. I agree with you. Show me, give me proof, that they knew or should have known that there was something wrong with their car that could cause a fire, and then you get whatever you want. Do you have any proof?
If anybody would have walked past that van, anybody would have known that there was problems with that van. It was rusted up, it was very old, and it didn't like it was taken care of very well. So,
that doesn't mean, listen to me, Miss Biddle, that means that the car will one day be driving along the road and stop running. That doesn't mean that it's going to explode in a fire. Miss Biddle, you need proof. Expert proof that, for instance, the car was in an accident. They were advised by a mechanic that unless it was fixed, the car could, by spontaneous combustion, start on fire. Because otherwise, there are lots of scenarios that are possible. It's also possible that somebody lit a match, opened the hood, threw it in the car, and caught on an electrical wire. And that's what they saw. They saw the electrical wires burned, that somebody else did that. Do you think that they would be responsible if somebody passed their car and, as a prank, took a match and threw it in the gas tank and the car exploded and your car was damaged? Do you think they'd be responsible?
No.
Why? Just a minute. Why not?
Well, I mean, it was somebody else could have, you know, done it just to get him in trouble, but...
Someone else could have done something to destroy his car. It's not different. It's not different. You have to show a fault, that somehow these people knew that they were driving around in a dangerous vehicle that could cause damage to somebody else's property. And you don't have that proof, so you have no case. So next time you want to be fully protected, get collision. Case dismissed.
Yeah, this is case number 410 on the calendar in the matter of Bremsey versus Griffin.
Thanks, Barry.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Young people, have seats.
All right, let's talk very briefly. You two moms don't know anything about what happened at school on the day of this incident when your daughter's nose was broken. But it is your claim that the defendant's son assaulted your daughter, broke her nose, and you want to be compensated for the unreimbursed medical bills that you sustained.
That's correct.
Mrs. Griffin says that her son was merely defending himself, that your daughter started the fight, and she is not responsible. Correct? Yes, ma'am. So why don't you two ladies sit down, and I'm going to see these two young people right up here. What's your first name?
Kiera.
And yours?
Donald.
I'm going to start with Donald. Now, Donald, you know that you punched Kiera in the face, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And her nose, according to her mother, was broken. So I want you to tell me why you did that.
I got to school that morning, and kids had came up and said, Kiera called your mom a low-down dirty. Okay.
Okay. So somebody came up to you and told you
Yes, ma'am.
that Kiera had called your mom a nasty name.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
Okay, Kiera, she was on a field trip, and she came back, and I guess the kids had already told her. And we was...
Okay. Were you on a field trip that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you have a conversation with somebody when you came back from the field trip?
Yes, I did.
Who did you have a conversation with?
My friend that I was standing next to.
And what's your friend's name?
Tony.
And what was the conversation about with Tony?
We were talking about things that we were going to do on the playground, not about me calling his mother a name.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why would you call his mother a name?
I don't know, but I didn't.
Didn't say anything bad about his mother?
No, ma'am.
Well, what happened after you had this conversation with this gal who was telling you about these bad things that she was saying about your mom?
It was around lunchtime, okay? I guess she had already came back, and it's a breezeway that you walk down and go to the playground. And I walked up to Kiera and I asked her, and then she kicked me and she said, I didn't say nothing about your mom. And then I punched her in the face.
So what you're saying is she kicked you first?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did she kick you?
In the growing area. She tried to.
She what?
She tried to kick me in my growing area.
But she didn't kick you?
She kicked me, but I had blocked it so she could not
kick you
in that spot.
Okay, so she kicked in your direction, but you didn't come together.
She kicked, but I blocked it. Okay. Okay, and so then I punched her, and she had a jump rope. It's red, white, and blue. Okay, like the American flag. And she hit me in the head with it. And then by that time, we just started fighting. And then Miss Porter, she saw the fight. And then by that time, she came, took us to the office. And then Kiera's mom came. And then they went in the office.
Donald says that you tried to kick him. Is that true?
Yes, it is true, but I did not kick him.
But you tried to kick him. Why did you try to kick him?
That was after the fact of the fight, not when the fight started.
Well, you tell me now, Kiara, how the fight started.
He came to me and said, "What'd you call my mama?" And I said, "I didn't call your mama nothing." And then he pushed me and I pushed him back.
He pushed you. How did he push you?
Real hard, like this, pushing me back or something, and up against the wall. And I pushed him back, and then he came in my face. He grabbed my hair, pulling my hair down, and then punched me in my face, just keep on one side of my face. Then he started punching me in my nose about 10 times, I should say. And then Shayla went to go get a teacher, and he ran off to the playground like did nothing happen.
Had you ever had trouble with Donald before?
No, ma'am.
Had you ever had trouble with Kiara before?
No, ma'am.
Well, maybe this other young girl who was telling you the stories was just making things up. Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why would you believe her?
I went to her and asked her, and she kicked me, and then I punched her.
I don't believe that. No, Donald.
I went to her and asked her.
No, Donald. I don't believe that you asked her, and in response to your asking her, she kicked you.
Yes.
Don't believe that, Donald. Doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound right to me, Donald. Sounds like a good story you might tell your mother, but it doesn't sound truthful to me. Have you ever had trouble scrapping in school before? What are you looking up for? You're not that old that you have to remember.
With one boy. With a boy. Yeah.
Once before.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you lose your temper?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to you in school when you lost your temper?
We started fighting on the playground.
How many fights have you had in school?
None.
Didn't think so. So, Donald.
Now?
You see how you know how to be a polite young man?
Yes, ma'am.
You got to carry that over to the outside world, Donald. Understand, Mrs. Griffin? He wasn't telling you the truth. She didn't kick him first. He got angry. And he got angry, Mrs. Griffin, because somebody told him that she had called you a bad name.
May I?
Sure. Go ahead.
I really don't know exactly what went on in this incident, but prior to this, the kids were calling one another. They supposedly were secretly liking each other. This child called my house numerous times.
So?
They liked each other, so I figured it was just a little disagreement between maybe a little girlfriend and boyfriend, and that's how it started. I don't really know how it went.
All right, Miss Griffin, let me go back a second. What I don't want you to do is to make excuses for Donald.
Oh, no, there's no excuse.
Okay.
None.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald. So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology. You start with her.
And later today,
your son is an alcoholic. He's not providing for his family. She has a baby and 2 other children, and you're suing her for a deep freeze? Where is your brain?
Guy Breamsey says 10-year-old Donald Griffin punched her daughter in the face, breaking her nose. Donald says she called his mom a bad name.
All right, Miss Griffin, Donald was told by someone, a gossip,
True,
that this young lady said something bad about you. Now, she says she didn't say it, so that could have been just a troublemaker.
that's true.
But your son has a short fuse, because he's been in trouble for fighting before. And what he would naturally do is not go over to Kiara and have just a discussion with her. He would be angry. Doesn't strike me as being logical that if he went over to her and said, "Did you call my mommy a name?" and her response would be to kick him in the groin. That doesn't sound logical to me. What sounds logical is he might have said to her, "Did you call my mommy a name?" And she said, "No, I didn't." And then he hit her or pushed her, put his hands on her. That's logical. And that's what happened. And it's all because he listened to somebody who was gossiping. Do you understand, Donald?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to spend the next few years with your mom having to come defending you in court, do you?
No, ma'am.
Because that's not pleasant for you and especially for your mother. Okay, step up, Miss Breamsey. Tell me about your nose. What happened to your nose, Kiara?
It was broken. He punched me in it a lot of times.
Tell me what it felt like.
It felt like it was hurting really bad. It was getting swollen up. And
You have any pictures? See, you have some pictures there. I'd like to see them. How old are you, Donald?
10.
Looks to me like you punched her in the eye, too. Did you do that, too?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Breamsey, how much were your out-of-pocket expenses? Because it's hard for me to tell. It looks like they were $165.
That's correct, and $10 for the radiologist.
You have to take care of that, Donald, which means your mother has to take care of it. Does your mother make a lot of money?
Close to. Yes, ma'am.
You think your mother... Look at your mother. You think your mother makes a lot of money?
Yes, ma'am.
You do? Miss Griffin, you make a lot of money?
I doubt it.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a correctional officer.
Your mother works very hard and does not make a lot of money. She doesn't have a lot of money to go around getting you out of scrapes. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're very lucky that Miss Breamsey only wants her unreimbursed medical bills, because I don't think she wants to hurt your mother. Believe me, if you were older, she'd want a lot more. You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't have money to go around to buy you out of these scrapes. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology, because your mother's going to have to come up with this money for you. You start with her.
I'm sorry.
You mean it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $175. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope Don has learned something from this.
She told him she didn't like him at all.
Never pay attention to other students.
No, we're not friends, and he did like me.
If they hit you, you hit them back, but you're not supposed to hit them, though.
This is case number 428 on the calendar in the matter of Beaster versus Barber. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. Beaster, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you by kicking you repeatedly around the head and body. The defendant says she was merely trying, she acknowledges that she did kick you, but she says she was trying to protect her boyfriend from you. So you tell me about this incident. When did it happen?
Happened on August 22nd on a Thursday night.
Where were you?
I was in my apartment with my wife and our 18-month-old little girl.
Okay.
What happened was we were trying to sleep, and we heard a lot of noise. We didn't know where, it was outside somewhere. So I had my wife, I said, just go up, get up out of bed and see what's going on.
That's your first problem. Why did you send your wife out to find out what the problem was?
Because my daughter, she likes to be with me, when we go to bed, and she only wants her dad, and she was holding on to me.
Your 18-month-old daughter was sleeping in the bed with the two of you? Before we get to the rest of this case, let me give you some advice. That's a big mistake. Big time. You go to sleep, baby goes to sleep, baby's crib, baby's bed, baby's whatever. 18-month-old baby doesn't sleep with you. It's very cute, it's very sweet. When they're 9 and 10, it's not so cute anymore. Do you understand?
You got that right.
What? Right?
You got that right.
Right. And then they, in the middle of the night, you find you got an 8-year-old, you got a 7-year-old, you got a 5-year-old, they're all trying to clamor in your bed. So what used to be cute when you had one isn't so cute anymore when you got 3 of them, and you end up sleeping on the floor because, or your wife would end up sleeping on the floor under your scenario. Just a word of friendly advice. Okay, so next time this ever happens, you're not going to send your wife to the window so that you don't disturb your 18-month-old daughter. You're going to get up and go to the window, right?
That's correct.
I love it. Okay, so you send your wife out and she looks at the window. Step up, please. Okay, next time you give them a good boot in the back with your foot and you say, you get up and go see what's making all the noise. Anyway, you got up and you looked outside. What did you see?
Well, I saw a bunch of 19, 20-year-olds, I'm not sure how old they were, playing around outside on the swing set. It was a playground. They were sliding.
How far away is the swing set from the playground from where you live?
About 10 feet away.
What floor are you on?
We're on the 2nd floor.
So there are a group of people fooling around outside?
Yes.
Talking loudly?
Mm-hmm. Screaming.
Screaming? What were they screaming?
I have no idea what they're screaming about.
Okay. And then what happened?
We all went to the window. This is in one of our other bedrooms. And they were just making a lot of noise, screaming. They're in a tree. I don't know what they're doing in a tree.
They were in a tree?
They were in a tree, all of them. And I proceeded to say, be quiet or I'm calling the police, because it was very loud.
What did you say? Be quiet? Say shut up or I'm calling the police.
I did say, be quiet, I'm calling the police. But that's what I did say. I did not swear. I did not say anything.
Okay.
Then I heard the gentleman over here yell back, go ahead and call the police, F you.
You mean this gentleman that looks like butter would melt in his mouth? Over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one? Okay, go ahead.
And then I told my wife, go ahead and call the police. And I did proceed to go outside.
Well, that was your second mistake, right?
Yeah, I agree. I should not have done that. And
right. That was your second mistake. What happened when you went outside?
The gentleman there, jumped out of the tree and he ran up to me. And he pretty much said, what are you doing out here? Oh, just because you're bigger? Go ahead and hit me. I will sue you. And then she got involved, the defendant, and she started swearing and cussing at me.
Do you have a police report?
I sure do.
I'd like to see the police report, please. Okay, swearing, cussing. What happened next?
And then the defendant here proceeded to put her hand on my chest, swore at me and said, you know, F you, get back in your apartment. And I swiped her hand. She put it right here. I swiped her hand away and I said, don't you ever touch me again. He got upset. And
because she had swiped her hand away, whatever.
Yes. But she had her hand, she put her hand on me. And
I understand that.
Okay. She then proceeded to scream. She got right in my face, about this far apart, and she was yelling and screaming at me, again,
How many
swearing.
people were out there at that time? You?
Well, what happened is four
two
people.
of them.
The two of them. The other two took off. Nobody else was out there. When I first came out there, the other two took off. So, and then what happened is then she put her hand in front of my face, and I did swipe her hand away, and that's when he came to me, and he pushed me. And then from there, Your Honor, I defended myself.
So what'd you do?
We started to like grapple, and then he pretty much said, "Oh, you're a big guy, and you can't put me down." So I knew the police.
You got him down. You got him down on the ground.
Yes. Then I put him on the ground. He ripped my shirt. Then I ripped his shirt. And when I had him on the ground, I did not have him in a chokehold. I didn't throw any punches. No punches were thrown. She proceeded to go ahead and start kicking me in the head.
Okay. Tell me what injuries you suffered when she kicked you in the head.
At the immediate time, I did not know what injuries I suffered, but I know after the second kick that I had blood coming out of my nose, and it was splattering even after the last couple of times. And I do have pictures here.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. And this is the viewpoint from our apartment. I wiped off some of the blood too, Your Honor, so it's not all there.
You have any other reports from the police, statements?
Do
you?
I don't.
I'd like to see them, please.
Well, I do got our own statements from everybody that had statements involved. My wife
I have
and them.
that.
I'd like to see
I
all
also
the
have the
statements.
police report that the police wrote out.
I'd like to see it around in a tree.
Right. We did go outside.
I have this.
Oh.
I have this. I don't need this. I'm talking about other statements.
Oh, okay. That is all I have. We were outside and we were laughing and having a good time.
It's too late.
Right. And
it's too late.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Were you smoking regular cigarette or you smoking some funny cigarette?
No, we were smoking regular cigarettes.
But it was after you smoked the cigarette that you ended up in the tree, is that right?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Beester says he was injured when neighbor Courtney Barber kicked him in the head. Courtney says she was defending her boyfriend.
Go ahead.
We went up in the tree and we heard Mr. Beester yell out of his house, "Shut the f up." He didn't politely say anything about us being quiet. And we all looked at each other and we realized, okay, we're too loud, we need to go inside. And at that point, Mike had yelled back to him whatever he had said about call the cops. If he said F whatever, I don't remember that. And then as we were coming out of the tree, which was immediately after that, he had came out and was standing underneath the tree at that point. So running up to him.
He has to get dressed, put on his shoes because he was in bed. I don't know what the weather's like, whether he sleeps in the buff or he sleeps in pajamas. Either walk downstairs, take the elevator downstairs and come out.
There were 4 of us in the tree.
You shouldn't have been in a tree.
Absolutely.
Right?
I understand that, yes.
And what were you doing kicking him in the head?
Well, what had happened was that He was at the base of the tree when all of us had been down. Mike did not run at him or anything. And at that point, he told us, I'm in the military, you guys are being too loud, and there's no reason for you to be outside. And there was cursing back and forth. There was yelling back and forth.
Well, just a second. But that's what he said to you. I'm in the military?
Yes.
There's no reason for you? So why didn't somebody say to him, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have been making so much noise, we're leaving?
I did absolutely say, I am sorry, we're going inside.
You said that?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, I did.
Then you tell me how the pushing and shoving match started between the two of them.
Because he had called Mike a loser. He was in the military, he was better than us, basically, was absolutely yelling at us, and we were shocked. We didn't want any fight to happen. We were not about to yell with this man.
I don't understand how he started, how he was getting kicked in the head. You want to get to that point?
Yes.
So far, I'm just hearing words.
Okay. When he said that I had put my hand on his chest and that he smacked it down, that was true. I had put my hand on it, in his face, not on his chest.
For what?
Because he was towering over me and he was screaming over me.
Why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave?
We were walking away.
How could you just walk away?
He called me and that's when Mike got angry at the fact that he called me a.
So, what happened?
So Mike said there's no reason to call anybody a.
Is that what he
Don't
said?
call
Just
my
like
girlfriend
that? Just like that?
Yes.
Just like that?
Yes.
Nice and calm?
Don't call my girlfriend a, he said.
Keep going.
And then they started wrestling after cursing. They grabbed onto each other and they were throwing each other around. And nothing was even being yelled at that point by Mike saying hit me or any of that. Nothing
so they're
was said
tussling
like
around. I still don't understand how he got all these injuries.
He got Mike on the ground and was on top of him, and he says in his police report that he had him in a wrestling move.
Okay, so he got him on the ground.
Some kind of headlock. I could only see the bottom half of Mike, and the rest of him was underneath Brian.
Yeah.
And at that point, I got scared. He was on top of him, and I didn't know if Mike couldn't breathe or what was going on.
Why don't you ask him, Mike, can you breathe?
I was screaming at him, get off of him, leave him alone,
Why don't you
stop.
ask him, Mike, can you breathe? Instead of get off him, well, how about Mike, can you breathe? I still don't understand how he got all these injuries.
I was barefoot when I kicked him.
What were you doing barefoot?
Because it was summer. It was nice out. I just walked out of my apartment to have a cigarette.
So you climbed up the tree barefooted?
Yep. Yes, I did.
How did he get all these marks on him?
I kicked him once in the face, and he screamed out. And the second time I kicked him, he let Mike go.
Where had you been prior? Stand up, you. Where had you been prior to going out and tree hopping that evening?
Inside my apartment.
What about the three other people who were with you? Were they in your apartment earlier that evening?
Yes.
What were they doing in your apartment earlier that evening?
Hanging out with us.
Do you two live together?
Yes, all three of us do.
This young lady too?
Yes.
Okay, what do you do for a living?
I'm a desk clerk at a hotel.
And you?
Rough carpenter.
And you?
Customer service rep.
Did everybody just want to go out for a cigarette or just you?
Everybody did.
Did you have the cigarette when you went outside?
Yes.
When did you get up into the tree?
After we were finished, we ended up going and playing around, running around.
Were you smoking regular cigarette or were you smoking some funny cigarette?
No, we were smoking regular cigarettes.
Really? But it was after you smoked the cigarette that you ended up in the tree, is that right?
Yes.
You have medical bills?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them, please.
I also got a letter from my dentist stating, what had happened.
Any other bills that you have?
No, that's the only one I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Beaster, I'm going to make the following observation to you, sir. You're a grown man with a wife and a child, and you should have known better than to go outside once your wife called the police.
Yes.
You were hot because they disturbed your family, and the reaction when you said whatever you said to them irritated you. Otherwise, you would not have gone outside. That was a mistake. You should have acted in a more mature fashion. That doesn't in any way suggest that you are without fault. I'm not sure whether I believe. I was a smoker for a long time, and if I went outside to have a cigarette, I didn't end up in a tree.
Right.
Which suggests to me that you must have been feeling pretty good after that cigarette, because you're three people with responsible jobs. Three people with responsible jobs usually don't have the reaction of hopping up into a tree after they have a smoke. I didn't see any indication here in the police report that the police officer smelled alcohol on your breath, so I might assume it was something else. In any event, you had absolutely no basis to cause the injuries to him that you did. Your actions precipitated the evening's events. If it wasn't for you, the whole thing wouldn't have started, all of you. So you're going to pay for his dental work. His dental work so far was $972. Those are the only bills I have. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step out.
He was there waiting for us to fight as soon as he got out of the tree, and that was self-defense.
No, that's a lie. That is a straight-out lie. He's the one that came out of the tree, ran up to me and said, go ahead, hit me. I'll sue you. You're bigger than me. I don't care.
Harassed and victimized her for 3 years because she once dated Masika's boyfriend, John. Masika and John say Danielle is the real problem.
Order, all rise.
Now, it's number 9 on the calendar in the matter of Dunlap versus George Phillips.
How could two ladies that look so nice, look so presentable, even write these things in a complaint? But what is it with you people? Harassment, cross complaints, assaults, trying to run each other down with cars, pulling knives, pulling guns, police reports, arrest warrants. Don't you have better things to do with your time?
Because all those are falsified statements.
Well, you've got complaints against her and she's got complaints against you. How long have you known each other?
Since '94.
Well, tell me when this trouble started.
Your Honor, harassments and physical abuse started in 1994, and it's been...
Over what?
It's been over me and John. He introduced himself to me, you know, saying
John,
that he was,
that's you?
Right.
Yes, right.
He introduced himself to me, stating that he was single, you know.
Saying that he was single?
Right. We exchanged pager numbers, we conversated, and as the conversation proceeded, he, you know, told me that he knew a friend of my girlfriend's brother. They were, you know, friends. After a while, we started conversating on the phone. We only dated once or twice as friends only, okay? A couple of weeks later, I started getting pages from Masika, who was his girlfriend.
That's you?
Questioning me about our relationship, you know. I informed her that John denied having a relationship and that we were just only friends anyway. So I told her that since the fact that she's claiming to be his girlfriend, I would discontinue our friendship, you know.
With him?
Right. But the paging calls with threats continued. And it led to a rage where him and her went to my home with a loaded gun. You know, I was not there. They threatened
Why would he come to your house with a loaded gun?
I guess, you know, they're in a relationship. He denied this to me, okay? So
how do you know he came to your house with a loaded gun?
My sister was there, police reports.
Were you there?
No, I was not there.
Well, then don't tell me about it.
Well, I came later as they were being arrested.
Who was being arrested?
Masika and John.
At your house?
Right.
What were you doing at her house?
Like she said, I paged her.
What you paged her for?
To find out what was going on between them.
Well, what'd you ask her for? Why don't you ask him?
Because he wasn't home. I paged her.
Just a second. Shh. Listen. What did you call her for?
To find out what was going on. I mean,
why don't you ask your boyfriend what was going on?
Because he can deny it. I mean, he could have denied it and said, "Oh, I don't."
So why don't you just dump him? Listen, what do you think? He's a bargain?
No, it wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? She didn't know who she was calling back at the time. She looked at my pager. When it was her on the other end of the line, she asked her, you know what I'm saying, about why was she calling me. You know, then when I came home, I told her that I don't talk to her anymore. You know what I'm saying? Then she got upset by Masika confronting her about this situation.
So this whole fight is over. Just a second. Let me understand something. This whole fight is over you?
No. No, it's not.
It's not. It goes beyond that.
It's not a fight. It's because of they don't have no kind of communication in their relationship. You know, she should have never paged me or called me. She should have took it up with him. Okay?
Just a minute. You weren't her friend before.
No.
You didn't know her before.
No.
So what you two ladies are in dispute over
It's
is
not.
him.
It's not. Can I finish? I just want to finish talking just just to clarify everything, I paged Danielle. She said that her and John, you know, that they weren't talking and she hadn't talked to him for a while. When I paged her, I put in my home number. Later on that night, her and her friends called and played on the phone all night long. I called and told John, and I was like, you know, the girl Danielle, she's been calling and playing on the phone. So while we were arguing on the phone, me and Danielle, she said she wanted to beat my butt or whatever. And so, you know, I told her, well, you know, well, fine. Her and her friends came to my house to fight me, and I looked out the window, and they, you know, they were passing by, and I looked out the window, and I was home alone at the time, me and my daughter, so I didn't go outside. So,
you have a daughter?
Yes, I have a 3-year-old daughter.
Is he the father of this 3-year-old daughter?
Yes, he is. And he's, yes.
So if you're the father of this 3-year-old daughter, what were you doing messing around with her?
That was before. That was before my daughter was even born. You know what I'm saying?
How many years ago was this?
This was in 94.
It was in 94.
Has this been ongoing?
Yeah,
Exactly.
The harassment.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we're leading up to that. She wanted to fight me. She came to my house, like I stated. I didn't go outside. She called back and she said, "Why didn't you come outside, B?" You know, so I told her, I'm here alone with my daughter. Tell you what, we'll meet up at your house tomorrow so we can fight. I went to her house. This is just the truth. I went to her house, me and John. She wasn't home. Her sister
What'd you go there for?
To fight her. She wanted to fight me. I mean, she came to my house. She played on my phone all night long.
How old were you then?
I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old at the time.
This is 3 years ago. You were 18 years old. Since that time, you've become a very mature woman. You had a child who's 3 years old now with this guy, who I'm sure you married. Is that right?
Right.
You married?
No, we're not married. We stay together.
Have you had any trouble with each other in the last 6 months?
No, I haven't.
Just a second. You haven't. In the last 6 months, have you had any trouble with her?
No.
Have you had any trouble with her?
No.
Good. Sit down.
This ain't going.
Just a second.
Going right.
Listen to me. In the last 6 months, have you had any difficulty with her?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
She has filed a false police report against me, saying that I did a hit and run.
You did what?
A hit and run.
That was in the last 6 months?
Yes. During this time, I was 5 months pregnant. I got a call from San Francisco Police Department saying that there were charges and a warrant out for my arrest due to the fact that she made this police report. Okay.
Well, what happened with that case?
The case was dismissed due to the investigation that her friend, who was supposed to be in the car with her, made a statement saying that it did not occur that way. It did not happen.
Did you file a police report against her?
Yes, I did.
Why?
She ran me over. I was getting out of my car. She ran me over.
Were
and
you
knocked
injured?
me to the ground. I had soft tissue injuries, and I had like over $2,000 worth of doctor bills to prove that I was marked up. I called the police from my house.
Then why do you think the case was dismissed?
Because thank you. Because my so-called my friends at the time, they gave a statement saying that Danielle did in fact run me over. Me and my friends, we're no longer friends, and one of them made another statement saying that she thought that Danielle was scared, and that's why she ran me down. So she changed her story.
Tell me what happened with this car incident.
What happened was, it did not happen. I was put in a situation where I was pregnant, you know. I turned the corner from around my mom's house, and next thing I know, her car stopped, you know, in the middle of a block. I didn't know who she was until she got out the car. A group of other girls in a car behind me drove up behind me, right up on my bumper. So I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and I'm looking in front of me, and I'm like, this is a setup. Somebody had to be watching me or stalking me or something to know when I'm leaving my mother's house. So she gets out the car and she starts going like this, cussing, whatever. I can't hear her because my window's up, you know. I'm 5 months pregnant. I'm not going to get out and fight her, and then I have all these girls behind me. I went around her to avoid the situation, okay? I did not hit her. I went around her. She came walking towards my car. I drove around her and left the scene.
That's not true. She ran me down.
Judge Judy will continue.
You're an ignorant tramp. Look how ghetto she is. She don't even know how to present herself. Look how ghetto she is.
Yeah, I'm ghetto.
You ghetto.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Masika George says Danielle Dunlap's accusations of assault are lies made up because she dated Danielle's old boyfriend, John.
What other incidents, other than this car incident, happened within the last 6 months?
Your Honor, due to the fact of the car accident, she has harassed me on my job. That's what has happened.
Fine.
In the
Tell
last
me how
6
she's
months.
harassed you at your job.
She has came up to my job demanding information from my supervisor about when I'm at work and, you know, how can she get in contact with get in contact with me to have me arrested for the hit and run. Okay?
All right, that's not harassment. Go ahead. Shut. I want you to say nothing.
All right.
That's not harassment. And the case of the hit and run, the car incident, was resolved by another court. You both acknowledged that you were told to pay her $350.
Right. I'm here today because I fear for my safety. I'm suing her for ongoing harassment and mental stress.
I haven't heard any ongoing harassment in the last 6 months, madam. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's been every year. It's a different
I just
incident.
asked you. I'm going to say one more time. The last 6 months, I'm not interested what happened when she was 18 and you were 17 and you were fighting over Romeo over here. I'm not asking you about that. I'm asking you what happened with you two young adults in the last 6 months. Nothing? Good. Case dismissed. Thank you very much. That's all.
Oh, my God.
Bye.
Bodies are excused. You may
Excuse
step out.
me. Oh, my gosh.
Step out the back to your right, please.
That was damn
Out the back door to your right. Ma'am,
Oh,
step
that
out the
was
back door to your
bad.
right, please.
Basically, Danielle, she's a liar.
She's a modern day fatal attraction.
No, use the tramp. Use the tramp. Use the ignorant tramp. Look how ghetto she is. She don't even know how to present herself. Look how ghetto she is.
Yeah, I'm ghetto.
You ghetto. You ghetto. You don't know how to present yourself.
We don't got to go there.
She didn't have a case. She finna get sued.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll be all that. But you ghetto.
Bodies on Freeman versus Haight. Step forward, please.
Andre Freeman is suing Patricia Haight because his son, Andre Jr., got a broken wrist when Patricia's son, Gerald, started horsing around.
You're Mr. Friedman.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mrs. Haight?
Yes, I am.
But it's not really you two people who were involved in this lawsuit. It's really your children. All you're asked to do is to pay the bills.
Yes,
correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So I'm going to ask you to sit down for a second. And we have Andre. Where's Andre? Step up here. And Gerald? That's you? Right up here.
Yes, I know.
You were in a friend's house?
Yes.
What's your friend's name?
Rashawn Jackson.
Speak up.
Rashawn Jackson.
And were you a friend of Gerald's?
Yes.
How many people were over the house?
I'd say about 6.
And in what room of the house were you hanging around in?
My friend's mother.
Bedroom?
Yeah.
What were you doing in there?
Watching TV.
So tell me what happened.
We just got back from playing the game or whatever outside, and we were in watching TV, and I stood up, and he grabbed me for some odd reason and jumped on the bed with me, and I broke my hand.
How did he grab you?
In like a bear hug like this. And we fell on the bed, and then that's when I broke my wrist.
Tell me what happened when you broke your wrist.
Well, after I broke my wrist, I got up and...
How did you break it? Do you know?
Well, when he jumped on me and grabbed me, my arm was stuck under his stomach like this. And when he fell, it broke inward like that. And when I got up, I let him know that he broke it, and...
How did you know it was broken?
Well, I could tell because the way I moved it, it just like dropped and it hurt real bad, so I knew it broke. And we went in the living room, and my friend Rashawn, he got me a pillow and everything. They called the ambulance, and we were talking, and then like everybody was talking about it, and he started laughing for some odd reason. Like when they told him, like everybody was talking about it, he started laughing, and then I looked at him, he just smirked at me or whatever, and then the ambulance got there and I left.
You hadn't been having an argument with him about anything.
No.
You were just horsing around, or he was horsing around.
Well, yeah, he was, but everybody else wasn't.
Your wrist was in a cast?
Yeah.
For how long?
I'd say about 3 months.
Is it better now?
Well, no. No, it's not.
Why?
I can't turn it all the way. Like this one, I can only go that far.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Okay, Gerald, what happened?
Well, like you said, we went first. We were playing outside, and then everybody went into the room. We were watching the movie, and then like everybody got up and started playing around again. So then like he got up, so I got up because everybody else was already playing around. So then like when he got up, I thought he was like playing around. So I didn't grab him in no bear hug or anything. I got him like in a headlock, and then like I was walking around, and then I was walking around with him, and then like when we were like close to the bed, somebody threw a baseball bat, and then like so we fell over. Like I let him go, but like he still had his arm around me. Then I fell. Then he said, "Get up! I think my arm is broken." And then I was like, everybody was like, "Your arm's not broken." Then he showed everybody. Then it was, people were quiet.
What made you think he was getting up to play around?
Well, we were playing earlier, so everybody else got
Earlier
up and,
outside.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about outside. You were inside. You were inside for a while watching TV.
I know. I was gonna get to that.
Go ahead.
So, and then he got up because everybody else was already playing around. So I thought he was like going to get up and like rush at me or something.
What made you think that?
Because that's what we were doing earlier.
Outside, but not inside. So you really got him in a headlock. He hadn't come up to you. He was just standing up. He was sitting on the bed and stood up.
We were both sitting like by each other. So he got up, then I got up, and then like I grabbed him. Then we fell.
Okay. Okay, parents up. So this is where the parents come in.
Okay.
Somebody has to pay for this. You had medical bills?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much were your medical bills?
They were over $6,000. However, I only sued for the maximum limit you could sue for.
Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't, Your Honor. It taught me a valuable lesson, though, because now I make sure I have
Can I
insurance.
see the bills, please?
Certainly.
Mrs. Haith, is this the story that your son has consistently told you, the one that you just heard today?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, if it is, then you probably understand that this injury was a result of your son's unintentional act.
Actually, Your Honor, it was as a result of someone throwing a baseball and then both falling.
No. It was not as a result of someone throwing a baseball bat. Because if someone had thrown a baseball bat on the bed and your son didn't have Andre in a headlock, Andre's wrist wouldn't have been broken.
Okay.
There was nothing that Andre did that provoked that. He might have thought in his own mind that they were still playing, or he was going to play with him as they had been playing outside. But at that moment in the bedroom of their friend's house, there was nothing that he did other than stand up to suggest to your son that this was playtime.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
So that somebody has to assume responsibility for these bills. He does. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
Okay. How old are you?
14. 14.
Healthy. Big. Strong guy.
And let me add
Which
one-
suggests to me something. Suggests to me that a big, strong 14-year-old guy can do something in their spare time after school, during the summer or whatever, to reimburse your mother, because she's going to have to lay out this money. And she certainly wasn't in the bedroom, and it's a good lesson for you. I mean, it's not his fault. He didn't do anything. It's certainly not his father's fault, and he's gotten the bills. And this is because you were fooling around. It's a very good lesson, and in this regard, not a terribly expensive one, because although you're going to have some work done on your wrist, and it's not exactly the way it was, it's not the kind of tragedy that very often happens to young people when they act stupid.
I agree, Your Honor.
I don't think there was any maliciousness intended.
Oh, no, I don't think that at all.
I don't think so either. So I think that you both acted in a reasonable sort of way today. I hope you learned a good lesson. It's an expensive one. You're going to be very busy paying your mother back. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff and the amount requested, which is $5,000 for the medical bills.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Thank you.
Quite welcome.
On the next Judge Judy.
Children will be children. I think a lot of times the parents harbor a lot of anger, but if you just let the children go ahead and bond and play with one another, they can put this thing behind them and go back to being friends.
On the calendar in the matter of Warden versus Rivera. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Warden, you rented a room in your home to the defendant. It's a room that's attached to your house in the back, according
to the garage, yes.
And you were charging her a nominal rent, a couple $100 a month?
Yes.
Now you're suing her for $5,000.
Yes.
She, in turn, has decided to countersue you for $5,000. And I assume, since they're both nice round numbers, each of you is going to tell me why you're suing the other for $5,000. Go.
Well, a couple months after she moved in, the phone bill started going up. So I told her that she would have to take care of that as part of the rent. She agreed. Well, several months later, it got up really high, about $1,900.
For a phone bill?
Phone bill, yes.
Who do you talk to? Madam, who do you talk to for $1,900?
It was a friend of mine that was calling collect.
From where?
Oakland and Hawaii.
Calling collect on his phone?
Yeah, well, I was paying the bill for his phone bill as well.
Listen, whenever my husband complains, I'm going to get a copy of that phone bill and stick it in front of his face.
I've got plenty.
I have too.
So how much do you owe him for the phone?
I paid amounts. I have them all written down here. For the phone, I've made a $1,000 payment right before I moved out of the house.
How much does she still owe you for the phone?
About $1,500.
Do you have proof of that, sir? She says she owes you about $300.
Okay, well,
Around that area.
here we go. I can give you all these, Your Honor.
No, don't give them to me. Show them to her. Please. Look at them.
Okay.
Take a
So
break.
these are your only receipts, right?
Listen to me. Those are the phone bills. Is that correct?
These are the phone bills.
All
Yes.
right. Just a second.
I've taken full responsibility for the phone bill. And
So
I've
how
told him
much
that.
do you owe him for the phone?
Well, I moved out because he changed the locks on my door.
I didn't ask you anything about locks. I asked you about phone.
I don't know. I don't know the total amount.
What's the total amount there, sir?
$1,538.38.
Those for long distance and collect calls?
Yes.
Good. Bert, could I have those, please? All right. What else?
She had me arrested.
For what?
For battery.
Okay, tell me about that, sir.
Well, okay. I confronted her about the phone bill many times, and she skipped out on this many times. So I finally saw her going past the window, so I got out of the house and I stopped her and said, Michelle, what about the phone bill? And she said, I'm in a hurry, I'm in a hurry. I said, no, just tell me when you're going to pay. Well, one thing led to another, and she's in her truck, and I grabbed the keys because I didn't want her to leave. I wanted to know when I was going to get this phone bill, because she was 90% moved out.
You grabbed the keys?
I grabbed the keys.
From where?
From her ignition.
Okay.
Anyway, I didn't get them all the way in my hand. They fell to the floor. Anyway, a couple guys pulled up, and she was crying, so I just let her leave. So about 3 hours later, I see a flashlight shining through my back window, and it's the police. So I go out there, and they talk to me a little bit, and they say, well, Michelle says you assaulted her, and we're going to arrest you. And I said, well, look at her. There's no marks on her. And she says, well, we know, but if she wants you arrested for battery, we have to arrest you. Otherwise, it's a felony on us.
So you were arrested?
So I was arrested, and the end result of that was I went to court, got very sick in court, had to go to the hospital. I had to pay a $506 fine for disturbing the peace because there was no evidence for
So why did you have to
battery.
pay a fine? Did you have a trial?
I paid the fine because I was...
Did you have a trial,
No.
Mr. Warden? So you pled guilty to disturbing the peace?
Yes, I did.
So you pled guilty to disturbing the peace, and your penalty was a fine?
Yes.
So what do you want her to pay that for? Why didn't you go to trial?
It was her fault.
No.
Well, okay.
No,
I got
Mr.
sick
Warden,
that day.
Mr. Warden,
Okay.
you have to understand, sir. If you had gone to trial and you were acquitted and you wanted to sue her for damages, for your costs, your attorney's fees, lost wages, whatever.
Okay.
That's legitimate. But when you go to court and you plead guilty, then you can't say, well, I'm going to plead guilty, I'll take whatever consequences there are, and then I'm going to go sue her. Because what you said was I disturbed the peace in this incident. Right?
Right.
Well, I'm not going to go behind that, sir. You pled guilty.
Okay.
The judge say to you, you're telling the truth when you're pleading guilty, Mr. Warden?
No. I just signed a paper.
Well, did you read the paper?
Yeah. I signed away my rights and the little thing they gave me, yes.
You signed away your rights, and it said, the piece of paper that you signed, this is an acknowledgement that you are pleading guilty to these charges.
Yes, you're right.
You are giving up your rights to have a trial. You have an absolute right under the Constitution of this state. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so forget that amount of money. What's
All right.
next? But I'm going to find out. Did you have him arrested?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because he grabbed me by my neck and...
Just a second. Are you telling me he grabbed you by your neck?
He grabbed me by my neck and pinned me up against the seat in my truck.
Tell me how that happened, Miss Rivera.
I came home from work, and, well, just before that, Chris was always leaving notes on my door. I have a 3-year-old child, and he threatens me in front of my child. He throws trash cans at my front door.
Why didn't you move?
I was in the process of moving. I told him, I gave him notice that I would be out by the 30th of the month. And meanwhile, he's making my life miserable. He's left notes on my door saying that I'm not allowed to have any boys staying at my house.
Just late night visitors.
No,
she had traffic
that's not
through
what
my
the note
house
says.
all night long.
I did not. Here's the notes that he would pin to my door with steak knives. Here's more.
Did you write all these notes, sir?
Well, I don't see them, but I did leave notes on her door
I'm going to
telling
show
her.
them to you. Why didn't you just move to evict her?
Well, I made it clear that she was only supposed to be there a few months. She wasn't supposed to be there. That wasn't a rental property. It's not a rental room. I only let her move there as a favor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your carpet is still sitting on my neighbor's lawn. When are you going to come get it?
I'm not coming to your house.
I'm just going to trash everybody's house.
No,
I don't
thank
care.
you, Chris.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 40-year-old Chris Warden claimed he rented his guest house to auto detailer Michelle Rivera, but she ran up huge phone bills and caused widespread damage.
What else are you suing her for, Mr. Warden?
Well, at the court, I was very sick. And one of the reasons I just wanted to get out of there that day and be done with it, I went to the hospital that night, and I spent the night in the hospital that night, stress-related, and then 2 days later I had surgery, and I lost a month of work because of that.
Yeah.
And it was all due to stress, this stress. I can't believe the things she was doing.
And the fact that you've been under stress and strain as a result of this incident, sir, is not something that I intend to compensate you for. You entered into this agreement with her, and if you had an illegal tenancy in the back of your house, that's something that you have to deal with if you're doing something that's illegal. If you can't have her evicted, right, the law is there for your protection as well as the tenant's protection. If you have a room that you're not supposed to rent out to somebody, you can't evict them, and if they make your life miserable, as she did, told me, then you take your chances if you can't get her out. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
All right, so
and
she's
I knew
not...
I was taking my chances when she
Well, you
moved
take
in.
your chances. But she owes you for the phone bill. That's absolutely clear, $1,538. As I said, that's some hefty phone bill. Now, Ms. Rivera, you've countersued him for $5,000. I'd like to hear about this.
Well, initially, I wasn't planning on suing anybody. After the arrest, I felt really bad. I felt bad in the first place because he was a friend. I went through a lot of emotional stress during the months that I was living there because of these notes and the things that he was, the way he was behaving.
A lot of those notes, madam, refer to the phone bill.
Okay, but...
Just a second. A lot of the notes refer to the phone bill. He rented you a place to stay for $200 a month, which is very cheap, and you had access to his phone, and you went into and you used his phone, and as far as I'm concerned, abused his phone by having total strangers collect his phone, collect to the tune of $1,900 and $1,000. That's outrageous, right? And when he asks you for the money, you blow him off. What do you expect him to do? Kiss you on both cheeks?
No.
Ms. Rivera, You're not going to stand there and look and say to me, well, you know, I didn't do anything wrong. You did. You did do something wrong. So you want to tell me again why you think I should even consider giving you $5,000 and for what?
I didn't blow him off on the phone bill. I made payments. I have the list of the payments that I've made.
You owe him $1,538 that he hasn't been paid. You think the phone company is going to say to him, I'll wait until see the outcome of what happens when you go to court? He's got to pay it.
The phone bill is paid as of this morning. I've called the phone company this morning before I came in here and verified there's right now a $26.62.
What does that have to do with you? Did you pay it?
No, when I left the house, I had to move out of my house at 11 o'clock at night, all of my belongings.
Hey,
with
listen,
my child.
You acknowledge, if I believed you, what you said in your papers at least, you said, well, I maybe owe him $300 on a phone bill.
Yeah.
Right? I want to tell you something. That's outrageous. When did you move out?
I moved out on, I believe, May 8th.
So for a couple of months, how dare you owe him $300, if I believe you, $300 on a phone bill? And it was a lot more than $300. The fact that he's paid it so that he would be able to maintain his phone in his house, right, is none of your business. I want to know why you think he owes you anything.
Well, basically, with the phone bill part, I wasn't going to go back to his house again after he assaulted me. I mean, that was very clear. When he got out of jail in the morning, he called my voicemail and left a message that I now owe him another $250 for his bail. It's just a matter of playing games. I was waiting for this battery case to go up into court. I haven't been notified yet that he even had a trial date. I wasn't going to put myself in that, seat to go there where he can abuse me some more.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
I had gotten out of the shower and I was in my robe and I flashed him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
I want to tell you something. I don't see that he abused you, and I'm not considering the fact that the district attorney allowed him to plead guilty to disorderly conduct rather than to an assault, even an assault misdemeanor, as evidence of the fact that he actually assaulted you on the day in question. Assault to a plea of guilty to disorderly conduct is hardly a felony. It's not even a misdemeanor. It's probably in this jurisdiction no more than a violation. Now, you still haven't told me why you think he owes you a quarter, Miss Rivera.
Well, I didn't want to file a countersuit against
Good,
him.
then you didn't.
Okay.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,538. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Thank you.
It's none of your business what I do.
That's right.
Okay.
And I don't care what you do.
Good, and I don't care what you do either.
Good. You stay away from my house and
I don't
car.
come near your house. I don't
You
touch
do.
your car. You think
Yes,
I really
you
waste
do.
my time on you?
Yes, you have.
Chris, I haven't given you a second thought since I left there.
Baloney. Then why are you here?
You're sick. Well,
What
you
up?
grabbed me by
Yeah.
my neck and you know it.
I did not touch
Go
you.
ahead, call
Where-
names.
Show me
Feel
some
good?
marks.
You feel good?
You think
Feel good?
I'd break your neck if I touched you?
Are you threatening me?
No, I never threatened you. Never.
And now the next case.
Parties on Sanchez versus Stemwettle. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Christian Sanchez is suing his ex-fiancée, 23-year-old Amy Stemwettle, for money he claims she owed him when they broke up. Amy says he tried to blackmail her with a nude photo.
You were together for how many years?
About a year and a half.
That's right. About that time.
And during that year and a half, you lived together for a relatively short period of time. How long?
About 6
From
months.
June to end of September.
And you say that the defendant owes you some $755. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Tell me for what?
It's for rent, phone bills, and cable bills.
You moved into an apartment together.
Yes.
A house.
House.
House. Signed a lease?
Yes.
Both your names?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, Mr. Sanchez?
Well, our engagement, we broke up, and she was looking.
When?
We broke up on August 9th, 95.
Why?
It just didn't work out.
Okay. But according to your complaint, the defendant lived in the house after August of 95.
Yes, she did.
How did that come about?
Well, she asked to live a little longer because she was looking for a place to stay.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was looking for an apartment at the time.
So you broke up on August 9th. When did you finally move out of this house?
Probably the beginning of October.
And what arrangements had you made for the bills during that time?
We arranged that she asked, like, she knew that she owed me money. And
Don't tell me what she knew. What conversation did you have?
How to arrange the monthly installment. She wanted to pay by monthly installments what she owed me.
What did she owe you for?
The rent, the phone, and the cable bills.
You mean from August 9th until the beginning of October? That's 2 months.
It started from May 26, 95, when she started accruing a debt to me.
Is that right?
No, we were engaged. We were living like we were married. We put all of our money together, and he would write all the checks.
So according to you, you didn't owe him any money?
Mm-mm.
How much was the whole rent on the house?
Per month?
Yes.
$500.
Well, for the time that you lived there after you broke your engagement and you were looking for a place to live, were you paying him rent?
No, we
contributing
lived,
towards the rent?
We had one conversation about it, and I had said that he had asked for half the rent, and I said that I'd pay half the rent if he paid half the groceries and did half of the work around the house, and he wouldn't do that.
So you bought all the groceries?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. I would do the shopping and I would do the cooking.
Well, did he agree to that? Did he agree that you would just do the work around the house in exchange for your share of rent? Did he say that's okay?
Well, it was just another argument. There was never an agreement made either way.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sanchez, there was a conversation that you had with the defendant where she said to you, how much do I owe you? And you said?
I just gave, it was like, I just said $400, call it even, you know.
You remember that conversation?
Nothing came up about the $400 until I called him about, I think it was this past February, and he had...
What'd you call him for?
He had a picture of me that I wanted back. And when I asked for the picture, he said, well, you can have the picture if you give me $400.
Just a picture that I assume that you wouldn't like around.
Right.
Did you get your picture back?
I did get the picture, but I don't know that he doesn't have copies or didn't show everyone in his fraternity.
You'll never know, but you got your picture back.
I got the picture back.
Okay. You didn't do anything like that,
No.
sir, did you?
No.
Okay. Ms. Stemwendel, can you prove to me what monies you contributed to the house during the months of August, September, those 2 months? Can you?
No, I kept no records of that. I didn't think that it was really necessary.
Well, it seems fair to me that while you were living in the same house and yet not engaged, once you had broken this engagement, that you should pay half of the rent, half of the utilities, half of everything else, because you're no longer in a situation where you're moving towards a marriage. You're in a situation where you're moving out the door, right? So give me some idea of what you say you contributed during this 2-month period.
Well, while I was going to school, I was a nanny, and I probably brought in $150 or $200 a week, and that, I'd say 100 of it would go towards the bills that we were paying together.
Do you remember her giving you any money during this period, sir?
She didn't give me anything.
She gave you no money?
No money.
And could you prove that you gave him any money?
No, I would have no proof of it, because a lot of times being a nanny, I'd be paid in cash, too.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I think it's only reasonable. Your initial agreement, according to you, was $400. That's certainly most fair, considering that the rent was $500. You agree with that a month, which means for the 2 months it was $1,000 that you were living there, which means if you just paid for rent alone, your share would have been $500, right?
Okay.
Okay, and that doesn't include utilities, phone, anything else. Now, during that time, if you bought groceries, it certainly didn't come to that kind of money. Your oral contract, which I believe was for $400, so it's very easy. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. Thank you.
All right, so excuse you may step out the back to your right.
On the next Judge Judy.
That basically he had no morals. Not only was he blackmailing me for the picture, but he had to serve me with papers in front of a 3rd grade class. That's pretty low.
I mean, we could just put it behind us and let's go on and move on with our lives. And that's all I think all of us want to go, is just go on our separate lives and just go on.
This is the new boyfriend. This is Jeff.
Come on, you both. Always strikes me is when 2 adult men get into a car and get into a contest and let their testosterone take off and rule their heads, there's trouble. Especially when there's a child in the car, like this gorgeous little blonde thing. Mr. Miller, you're suing Mr. Hager because you say that after some sort of a dispute in your car, he was driving his, you yours, he attacked your car with a club.
Yes.
And caused almost $400 worth of damage to the car. Tell me how it started, sir.
I was making a turn off of Valley View Street. I was going south. There's a frontal road there beside of it. Hager was coming, going south also on it. He run the stop sign. And as a result of it, I almost hit him. If I hadn't stopped, I would have hit him. I blew my horn. He raised his finger at me, and we proceeded down the frontal road.
So you're both now going in the same direction?
We're both going in the same direction.
And this is your grandchild?
Yes.
She was in the car with you?
Yes.
Where was she sitting, front or back?
Well, it was a pickup, so she's in the front.
Right next to you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We came to an alley that runs down behind a shopping mall, and we proceeded down it, and we got to the end of the stores.
Which car was first and which car was second?
He was following me.
Just a second. His car was first, your car was second.
Yes.
Were you following him, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I was behind him. I mean,
were you following?
I'm going in that direction.
He was chasing me.
Shh, just a second. I'm going to get to you in a second, sir. You said you got to an alley.
Well, it's an alley, and it's also behind the store, but it's a parking lot also.
Well, were you going into that parking lot, sir?
No, I wasn't going into the parking lot.
So you were actually not behind him. You were following him.
Okay, I was following him.
Now, why were you following him?
So I could get his tag number.
Okay. And then what happened?
As we got to the end of the stores, there's also another small frontal road that leads to the front of the stores. He partially made the turn and stopped, jumped out, grabbed his club, and ran at me while I'm stopped. I had, in the meantime, stopped. He ran about 30 feet towards my truck, ran up to the side of me, took a swing at me. I pulled my truck forward, and he hit the back of my cab.
Can I see the damage to your car?
If you'll notice, Your Honor, the damage is at an angle as if he was swinging something, and you'll see that it's also right in line with me in the truck. So if I hadn't pulled forward, he would have hit me in the truck.
This has an open top, sir?
No, it's you looking at? May I get it to you? Oh, come on, surely. I take better pictures than that.
I got it. I got it now. Oh, I thought it was a convertible truck. I hadn't seen one of those. All right. Now I got it. All right, Mr. Hager, let's hear you, sir.
Well, what he said is correct as far as he was following me. I was very close to my home. I didn't want him, I wasn't going to go home knowing he was following me. I became fearful, wasn't sure what I should do. So yeah, I stopped, and in an attempt to defend myself, knowing that not knowing what he's going to do, I did take my club. He sees me stop. He's coming at me. He puts his head out the window of his truck and says, "I'm going to run you over." That's when he started to come at me with the truck. I jump out of the way, and he backs up a little bit and comes at me again. The second time is when he came close enough to me that I could swing and hit the truck.
All right, so I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hager. You live in that area, sir?
Yes. I was less than a block away from my home.
And how long have you lived there?
About 18 months.
So you know where the local police precinct is?
Actually, I found it after this.
You mean you didn't know before?
No. Well, it's a very large city. I wasn't sure where to go.
I don't believe you, sir. You see, I see this around here.
Well,
and I'm like a truth machine. So don't tell me that you didn't know where to find the policeman.
I went to, well, no, that would have been the alternative, was drive around.
That's an alternative rather than getting out of your car with a club.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem to me to be logical, sir, that if you're in fear of your life, you are defending yourself against a 2-ton truck with a 2-pound club.
Right.
You see, that doesn't make sense. To me, what makes sense is if you're in fear, you stay in your car. What kind of a car were you driving?
A Camaro.
So you stay in your Camaro and you drive around until you see a police car, if you don't know where the local police precinct is.
Right.
Right.
But I thought of that after, but in the fear, I wasn't thinking that logically.
Listen to me, Mr. Hager. Why were you in fear, sir? You were in your car, windows closed, right? Windows closed.
No.
You could have closed the windows, Mr. Hager, right? You do have electric windows in your Camaro?
Yes.
So you press a button, you close the window, and you keep driving, and you say to yourself, I got some nut here behind me. I'm not going to get out of this car. I'm going to stay in my car. But you get out of your car. Where was the club?
On the passenger seat.
You pick up the club, and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Wonder how afraid he was when he stuck his finger up. Could we ask him that question?
And later today.
Make me look like a liar. Make me look bad when you know you was stripping and you know you was working. Nicole, don't stand there and lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bird Miller says Jason Hager's gesture led to violence, smashing Bird's pickup.
You pick up the club and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager. It doesn't, it's illogical, sir.
To drive around looking for the police, I needed to, at some point, decide I'm going to stop and defend myself. That was it.
Defend yourself against what, sir?
This gentleman.
He's in his car.
I don't know that he's going to threaten to run me over. I think he's going to get out.
How can he run you over in your Camaro, sir? Sitting in your car, how can he run you over, Mr. Hager?
He can't.
Right. Sitting in your car, he can't run you over. Only when you're outside of your car, standing there armed with a weapon, can he run you over. Your mistake was getting out of the car. And then you hit his truck. So you were in a combat posture with a weapon. I mean, I'm not suggesting that what this man did was correct. I think, Mr. Miller, to be quite honest with you, sir, you're old enough to use your brains, and if this guy ran a stop sign, as you say, of course, you didn't run the stop sign. Is that correct?
Correct.
I knew that. I knew that's what you would say. But you have a very precious cargo. Not you, her. And so if you have a very precious cargo, and if you were fortunate enough, and God was watching you, and you didn't have an accident at that stop sign, you take a deep breath, and you say, phew, finished. I'm grateful that there was no accident, and you keep going. If you can get his license, that's fine. But to follow him into an alley is not swift.
It's really not an alley, Your Honor. I understand what you're saying, but
you understand what I'm saying.
I don't mean it's a, you know.
I understand, but you got hot.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not denying it at all.
Yeah, well, you want to get hot with you alone in the car. That's one thing, but you don't get hot when you have a baby in the car, especially a baby that looks like that.
Could I add something to this?
Sure, sir.
Okay. He said I almost hit him there at stop sign. If you look at the pictures, you will see there's a medium between Valley View and where he would have been sitting. So, in other words, I would have had to jump across the median in order to hit him.
Interesting, not terribly relevant, because we're not talking about what happened at the stop sign. What we're talking about was Mr. Hager's. You both exercised poor judgment on that day, in my view. But Mr. Hager's judgment is going to cost him the amount that you claim you spent or will spend to fix your car, and I assume you have a bill for that.
Your Honor, I have a bill for the damage. I don't have a bill for a rental car. It'll take 3 days to fix the truck, which is $25 a day.
Well, Mr. Miller, for your bad judgment, it's going to cost you to rent your car.
All right.
For his bad judgment, it's going to cost him to fix your car. And the grand total here is $279.80 to fix your car. Mr. Hager, it was a very dumb thing that you did, because he may not have been the kind of person that he is, and he may have, in fact, run you over. And
I'm sure of that.
And your 2-pound club wasn't going to help you. So,
well, you know, my question is, if he cares enough about this truck to get it fixed, why is he chasing people and threatening them with it?
Mr. Hager, he wasn't smart to try to chase you to get your plate number, and I assume that that's what he was trying to do. He did not get out of his cab. You got out of your car. Dumb. Stupid. And not only did you get out of your car, you got out of your car with a weapon. So it's going to cost you. The amount it's going to cost you is the amount that it's going to cost to fix his car. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Bill.
I'll have the back go to your right, please.
Come on.
And now the next case.
Parties on Cruz. Ambrosini versus Hernandez. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend Moses Cruz claim exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez owes them a refund on a condo.
You folks were living in the same hotel that the defendant was living in temporarily. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you became friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Well, we didn't become friends there. We became friends at work.
Okay. Don't tell. And there came a time when you were going to buy a condo. Is that right?
Yes.
And you approached the defendants to see if they wanted to rent a room in your condo that you were purchasing.
Exactly.
According to these papers, you said yes?
Yes.
And you needed some money.
Exactly.
How much money did you need?
$700.
And as sort of a down payment on their room, you gave her the $700?
Correction, Your Honor, that was $750. I have 2 contracts here signing. I had to pay a $500 first month and a $250 security deposit.
Okay, can I see what you have there,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. These are 2 pieces of evidence that I have, 2 contracts that Lisette signed herself.
Okay, fine. So let's assume it was $750. This is some contract.
I was in a rush, Your Honor. Grabbed the first thing I could. The next one's better.
Okay. And then, for some reason, which I'm sure that you will tell me, you decided not to move into the condo, and she gave you back $100, according to these papers. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, she has.
And you want the other $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was dancing with me. We were both dancers.
I'm
okay?
sorry, I'm 16
And I made
years old.
$3,000.
I'm 16 years old.
I made $3,000, and she know that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend Moses Cruz want the money back on a condo from exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez. Lisette says they moved out without giving notice.
Well, there came a time, I gather from these papers, that you moved out of the hotel but did not move right into the condo.
Right, Your Honor.
Where did you move?
Okay, at that time, we needed a place.
This is your boyfriend?
Yes, this is my boyfriend, Moses. We were looking for another location to live while we were waiting for the condo. We were going to just stay in the hotel. It was very expensive, so Lisette kindly offered us to stay in her boyfriend's house and pay $100 a week. We did that, and we stayed there for about
2 to 3 weeks, I believe, and we paid him for every week. At that time, we were told that she needed the money immediately, and we gave that money to her within 3 days because she had said she had a closing to meet. And it would
Closing on the condo.
Yes.
I understand that.
She said it would be about a month to get it, okay? So in our minds, we're thinking, okay, we only have to tough this out for about a month. We wound up not getting a condo or not moving into a place for 3 months. We were waiting to move in for 3 months.
Just a minute.
For 3 months, Your Honor.
Did you stay in the boyfriend's house for 3 months?
Yes. No, we did not. We stayed in the boyfriend's house for about 3 weeks. The other times we were staying at the hotel, and then my father was moving out of his apartment, and he was moving out half of the month early. So
you moved someplace else.
Yes. Right.
But there came a time when you ultimately said to her, I don't want to move in.
Right.
And when was that?
That was in, I guess, February, March, April.
How much after you had left the hotel and moved into the boyfriend's house did you tell her, I want my money back, I don't want to move in?
About a month.
That's a lie.
Okay, you tell me.
That's a lie. It was one day. Okay, this is what happened. When they moved into the apartment with my boyfriend, with me and my boyfriend, they was paying $100 a week, which is true. Okay, now, when they was moving out, I didn't know they was moving out. My boyfriend tells me one day, Lisette, do you know that they moving out? I said, what? He said, yeah, they're moving out. I said, no, I don't know nothing about it. He said, well, I'm getting ready to leave, so when I leave, you talk to them and ask them. When I came to you and asked her, I said, Nicole, y'all moving out? She said, yeah, we moving out. My father left me. Wait a minute. My father left me an apartment, and I'm going to move into it, and we're going to keep paying the rent there or whatever to stay there. I said to her, so what do you expect me to do? You expect me to take the money right now and just give it to you when I don't have it? You know I'm trying to get this condominium, and I don't have the money right now to give to you. Okay, but before that happened, one day we had went out, or we was working or whatever. She was waitressing, and I was working in a place where we was working at. I made $4,000 that day, and I said to Nicole, I said, here, you know, I gave her like $1,200 to help her out or whatever. I never asked her for the money back. I never said nothing to her.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Your Honor,
that's exactly what it was, $1,200.
Miss Hernandez, I'm going to simplify this. I've just, while you've been telling me this whole story, been looking at these 2 papers. These 2 papers, I assume that you recall signing. Is that right?
Right, and I agreed to pay her back the money. I did.
Okay, so
and I told her that I would pay for it as soon as I'd be able to get the money.
You signed the contract. So you owe her the money.
Right.
How much did you pay her back?
$100.
So you owe her $650.
Right, but she moved to Texas. But how did she expect me? I live in Florida. She lives, hold up. She gave me an address and expects me to make her money order every week and send her $50.
She said she would do that.
Stamp and everything.
Moses.
I said to her, let me finish.
Sorry,
they said they will come back to they was moving back to Florida, whatever.
Miss Hernandez.
She said that.
Moses. You got to train him better.
I try, Your Honor, I try.
You got to try harder. If you don't do it now, it'll be too late. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They get into bad habits.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Hernandez, you owe her the $650.
Right.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $650.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I wanted to make this easier for you, but in that time that I was struggling, trying to get money back, broke, Lisette wasn't paying us, my mother, who is a witness here today, sent me $300. I was living independently at the time.
What are you lecturing about? Just a second. What are you lecturing about? You sued for $650. I gave you $650.
Okay.
Say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nerves.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm a dancer, number 1. She was dancing with me. We were both dancers.
No. I'm sorry, I'm 16
and I made $3,000. I made $3,000, and she know that.
We won. We have our money. It doesn't money.
And you're still a little liar. Okay, you're still a little liar.
Better than being a prostitute.
She's a bigger prostitute.
Beauty salon owner Jill Villa claims her manicurist Erica Caceres quit before her 1-year lease was up. Erica says Jill turned the salon into a shopfront church for gangsters.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Villa versus Casares. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Villa, you have a beauty salon. And according to your complaint, you rent space in that beauty salon to independent contractors.
Right.
Such as the defendant, who is a nail specialist.
Look nice.
You rented her space in your salon at the rate of $200 a month. Is that right?
Right.
You say that she, and it was a 3-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
Mm-hmm.
1-year lease. You say that she left after a relatively short period of time. She owes you somewhere over $2,000 for rent.
Right.
You say she left. She says that she was asked to leave. So, tell me first about this establishment and how it works.
Okay. I have a salon. I do hair. I have 4 stations. I have pictures of those. And I have 1 space for nails.
And what's the financial arrangement that you have?
Basically, they just rent that space from me, and they take care of their insurance, their taxes, everything that to run a business.
Okay, how did you find each other?
I went into a beauty supply store. I saw her nails. She does great nails, and I was looking for a nail technician at the time, and I asked her if she would be interested in booth renting a space for me. And she came in and signed a lease and rented for 1 year, and then in December of, before her year lease was up, in December of '96, I asked her if she would want to sign another lease.
For another year?
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay, when did she leave?
She left in May 14th. So she stayed her whole year. Now her new lease would have started May through May of '98, and that's the signed one that she has.
Well, tell me your version of what the events were surrounding her leaving and breaking the second
Actually, Your Honor,
year's
they
lease.
were very confusing. I had a staff meeting where I had 2 hair stations available, and I hired 2 hairdressers. So I had a staff meeting with 1 hairstylist and Erica, letting them know that there would be 2 hairstylists starting at Making Waves.
Making Waves is the name of your shop.
Right. Her reaction was very rude. She was obnoxious.
Well,
and
that's your interpretation of her actions. What did she say? What did she do?
She said, "I will not work with white women. I'm prejudiced, and I do not like change." And I have a witness to that who heard that. I have 2.
And so what did you say to her?
I said, you haven't even worked with them 1 day. How can you say you're prejudiced against these girls? I just don't like them.
Okay, first of all, when I signed a contract going into a salon, not a church. And that's exactly what the salon turned into.
Explain that to me.
Well, she got religious, which is fine, that's her business. And she had the pastor there all the time.
Who's the pastor?
Right over there.
And what were they doing?
Running their church out of the salon.
What does that mean, running their church out?
That's not true.
What does that mean, running their church out of the salon?
They had their own phone line in there. The pastor was always there. The men's home, which is these men that they're trying to, from prison, that they're trying to turn over, I don't know, to make them better men, I guess. We're always there. Okay, these are men that have been in prison for really bad
So they
crimes.
were coming into the salon.
Right. So when I have a client sitting there, they're seeing this man there with all these tattoos on his neck, all these men. They don't want to be there. They're uncomfortable. My clients came in to get their nails done, not to be preached to. And what they do is preach God to my clients. My clients did not want to hear about God.
While they were having their nails done?
Yes, they have.
Step up here, sir.
And Jennifer's witness to that.
Get to you in a minute. Tell me your name.
Robert Dominguez.
Mr. Dominguez, when did you become involved with this salon?
When Jill and her husband first started coming to our church, and
when was that?
That was in '96. Jill had offered me a corner there to have a phone there so that I can do business and make contact with people for the crusade that we were organizing.
Tell
for
me
that
about
city.
the crusade.
What a crusade is there is we reach out to the gang members, the drug addicts, those that are considered outcasts of society. And during that time, since we were just beginning there in that city, and finances at the time were very, very short, so Jill had offered me a corner, and she offered me to that I could put a phone there. And from that point on, one thing I need to make clear is I don't force the gospel on anybody. People ask me, and I in turn respond.
Sir, I am correct, therefore, that when you say you reach out to gang members, you reach out to drug addicts, and you reach out to former prison inmates, you reach out to them and ask them to come in so that you can counsel them. Is that correct?
Witness to them.
Witness to them, counsel them, whatever. And you were doing this witnessing or counseling in this salon.
No, it wasn't. No, not in the salon.
Are you telling me, sir, that you never had any of these people who you were trying to reach come into the salon?
No.
They never did?
No. The men's home were there during the crusade. I wasn't counseling them. I wasn't witnessing to them. They were part of the workforce of helping me organize this crusade.
Mr. Dominguez, maybe we're not understanding each other, sir. Did the people that you were involved with, either people who were reformed and then reaching out, or the people that you were reaching out to, ever come into the salon?
Yes, they did.
That's right. And they came in, you spoke to them, they spoke to each other,
we had conversation.
Did you ever speak to any of the defendant's clients while they were having their nails done or while they were waiting to have their nails done?
When I was asked. When I was asked either by Erica, or I was either introduced to them, or they would ask me questions once they
That's
found...
a lot of ors. Step up. Who are you?
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer, how were you involved in this operation?
I also worked at the salon and was asked to leave.
Why?
Because I was an evil spirit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manicurist Erica Casares says she quit her lease at Jill Villa's beauty salon because Jill turned the place into a church for outcasts.
You were an evil spirit? Who told you that?
Erica.
That's what they stated.
That's not true, Your
Jill
Honor.
stated that to me.
That is not true,
Yes, it
Your
is
Honor.
true.
Just a second.
Can I say why she was dismissed?
Were you a hairstylist?
Mm-hmm. She was dismissed because she came into my shop intoxicated with a male gentleman with her. She was stealing from Erica because Erica kept saying how she's stealing all my nails.
No.
She's stealing all my nails. She was stealing my nail accessories.
Just a second. I really want to find out. Now I know you were a hairstylist. You were either dismissed or you left, whatever it is.
Give me a break.
I want you to tell me about this
one,
group that was running inside the salon in addition to hair and nails.
Okay, she moved the pastor in a desk, so we all had to move stations because there wasn't enough room. It's a very small salon. And then we would talk about God. They play Christian tapes all day, and I think it's great, but you know it shouldn't have been mixed in with our business.
When you say playing Christian tapes all day, you mean over the whatever PA system you had? Instead
That's not true. I had a little radio by my station. Your Honor, both these ladies on their own came to our church. They were part of our church.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
good.
great.
That's fine because that's where the church
I never
belonged.
heard that there was a problem. I never heard that there was a problem in the salon. Never.
Ms. Casares, I've heard from Ms. Villa about what she recalls of the time that you told her that you were leaving. I'd like you to tell me about the day.
She asked me to leave.
Well, tell me about it.
I just told her I was no longer happy there. You can't tell Jill nothing about the church.
So you told her you were not happy?
Right.
And what, and?
Before I to go back. Before I signed the contract, she stated in front of me, Jennifer, and Mary Alice, anytime we were not happy, we were allowed to leave. She was holding nobody to their contract. She had done that before, and she didn't want nobody else to be there that were not happy.
Okay,
So we had a verbal agreement that when we were not happy, we can let her know and we can leave.
Well, let me tell you what the law is. The law is when you sign a contract, and it's a contract for property, you can't go outside that contract for an interpretation. So whatever you sign is what you're bound to. Do you understand?
Yeah,
that's why we have contracts, and that's why we have laws surrounding contracts. You call what you're suggesting, we call parole evidence, which means evidence that goes outside the four corners of that document. And you can't do that. So I want you to be smart the next time. You don't sign an agreement with the understanding, well, we have a side agreement, which is if you're not happy, you can break this contract. Because that doesn't make sense. If that's your agreement, then what do you need a contract for? Right? If your agreement is, if you're not happy, you can leave, then why would she ask you to sign a contract? You understand?
She needed it for books or something.
Baloney. Come on. Ms. Casares, what I'd like you to tell me about this phone conversation that you had. You told her you were leaving because you weren't happy.
Right.
And then she called you on the phone and said, tell me why you're not happy.
I just told her. I said, it's because of the church thing. I can't handle it being in there. I was losing clients. Without clients, I make no money. With no money, I cannot pay rent. That's just, and you can ask her, last month, I was so slow there. And it's because I was losing clients. I have statements here.
I can't read statements.
And then,
statements are not admissible.
Well, after that, she just asked me, when I told her about the church thing, she goes, when can you be out of here? So to me, that was throwing me out by asking me when I could be out of there. So I told her. I turned around, I looked at my husband, I go, when can we go get my stuff? He said, right now. I went and picked up my stuff. I was out of there. That's all the phone conversation was.
When you signed your contract in December, your renewal
I signed my contract in February because my contract was up in February.
Okay, so you signed it in February. By the way, can I see it, please? Ms. Casares, listen to me very carefully. You signed this contract December 20th, 1996 is the date you signed it, not February.
Okay, February was when my contract was up, my first one. Then never.
She said it was up in May.
No, my first one was up in February.
Just a second. No.
Yours is
Ms.
up in
Casares,
April.
you got to get it straight. You signed this in December. Your first lease was not up until May. This is for a year after that. Now, what I want to know from you is, when for the first time did Mr. Dominguez come into the shop?
Maybe in February or March. February, I don't know. I don't know when he came in.
Did he come in before or after you signed this new lease?
After.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You came in after she signed this lease?
In March of '97.
Okay. Ms. Villa, let me tell you what your problem is, madam.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
I'm not sure, nor will I ever be certain, of the reason that Ms. Casares left, whether you asked her to leave or whether she said, I'm leaving. She contracted for space in a beauty salon, not a beauty salon / mission. After she signed her lease, you changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption. You can't do that.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. You changed the rules.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Can I state something, please? When I asked Robert to take some space for the Stop the Violence campaign, which was only going to last a period of 2 months, I sat down with each one of my stylists and we had a staff meeting, and I told them that he would be joining us, and if there was any problem to please let me know now. I didn't see any problem. If I would have seen a problem and heard that they had a problem with it, Your Honor, I would have stopped it immediately.
Let me
They
ask you this
never
question,
once
Ms.
told
Villa.
me.
Did her business drop off?
Her business was skyrocketing. No. All the women in my church came to her to get their nails done.
They didn't pay me.
Yes, they did. I took it off your rent.
Miss Villa, why do you think she would leave a business where she was making money? I mean, maybe I'm missing something.
Because she got a better
if
deal
her
down
business
the
was
street.
skyrocketing, why would she leave your business?
Because she got a better deal down the street.
What kind of better deal?
The guy, she had come into my shop, okay? She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad. He said that he will drop my rent, there won't be any contract, and I can go and work for him. Before she left, she was giving out her calling cards with his name on it and number.
Hold it. Did you go to work down the street?
Yeah, it's about a mile away.
Here's his ad.
I needed a place to take my clients to.
And when you went to work down the street, you went to work under the same conditions that you paid for space?
Yes, and it's a salon.
And how much rent did you pay in the space?
The new space? He's charged me $150 now, but it goes up in 6 months to $170. After 6 months, it goes up some more.
So you save yourself at least $50 a month going to him?
Yeah, which I had no problem with finish out my contract with Jill. But once you cannot tell Jill about a church and then her be the same with you. It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's conjecture. You see, now you're coming to conjecture. I was missing something, you see, because you say you had no business. She said you had a lot of business.
No.
Well, Miss Casares, let me suggest this to you, madam. Common sense always plays a very important part in judging. A competitor down the road would not offer you a better deal than you were getting in her place unless you were prepared to bring into that establishment a substantial clientele.
Well, Your Honor.
So you bettered your situation by leaving her. You bettered your situation by leaving her by going to a place where you could have your clients and pay less rent.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is a difficult case, and I'm going to tell you why. It's difficult as far as the decision that I make, because, Ms. Villa, you changed the workspace that Ms. Casares contracted for by bringing in this gentleman who ran a different kind of a business within your salon operation. And I believe that that's unfair to do to somebody. And I, quite frankly, can understand why some people who are coming in to have their nails done in what they assume is going to be a predominantly female operation, you know, ladies sitting around having their nails done, etc., having this gentleman there, and a variety of other people who are either in the saving business or trying to be saved. That's disconcerting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying it's not what she bargained for. On the other hand, I'm not really quite satisfied that his presence there was the only reason that you left. I would suggest that one of the reasons that you left was because you got a better deal down the road. Now, it may have been that you were unhappy with this situation there and you felt as if you would be more comfortable elsewhere. I think that you are responsible for part of the rental on that property. I think that if this gentleman being there is not a drawback, you should be able to rent that space in a relatively short period of time. I'm going to give you 5 months' worth of rent. Do you understand?
Yes.
You see to it that you re-rent the space. And if you can't re-rent the space, you better rethink your position about mixing your business with the church. You may want to keep them separately. You know,
They're no longer there.
They're no longer there? Well, that's good.
It was only for 2 months, which
That's good.
they knew.
All right, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
On the next Judge Judy.
Nothing as far as I'm concerned. I never worked with her.
And I never knew you either.
Boyfriend Gene Spector became so threatening after she dumped him that she had to move out, and he should pay her costs.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please, all rise. Your Honor, this is number 145 on the calendar in the matter of Flowers versus Spector. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Flowers, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, were romantically involved for a relatively short period of time. How long?
About 4 months.
And you say that when the relationship ended, he began stalking you?
He stayed outside of my apartment for 5 hours, and I called the cops at 4.5 hours.
Your Honor, it's absolutely not true.
Just a second. As a result of that, you say you have to move, you want him to pay all your moving expenses, your first and last month's rent, and the cost of changing your locks, all totaling, $3,100. That includes the week that you have to take off from work to go look for an apartment. That's what you want, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You, on the other hand, sir, are countersuing for all the money that you say that you
That I've
loaned to her.
Yes, Your Honor.
During the course of this brief 4-month relationship. You're going to tell me about what loans these were, and you seem to acknowledge on the countersuit that you owe him some money. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
You're going to tell me about that. So first, let's get to your claim.
Okay.
You met, you began to date, you dated for 4 months, something happened. Tell me what happened, and then what happened as a result of the breakup.
Okay, during the relationship, he was very jealous and calculating at times. He would constantly pick business
cards. Not true. I want to
Mr.
clarify.
Spector, I'm going to get to you.
Thank you.
He would pick business cards up off my table and make sure, read them and ask where I was at all times and who I was seeing and what I was doing and that sort of thing. And then at about the 3-month point, he read through my journal and told me that if I intended to destroy him, he would destroy me. And on June 15th, he made the threat that the two of us can no longer live at the same time, therefore one of us has to die. I do not feel...
Mr. Spector, Mr. Spector.
I do not feel safe living at the same residence that he has visited me several times.
Well, was it in June that you decided to break off this relationship?
Yes.
Anything particular happened at that time?
He took me to Napa Valley for my birthday on June 14th. We fought the whole time. He told me at lunch on June 14th that he only had 65% of me. He wanted 100%. And I knew at that point that the relationship was definitely going in a direction. I had just gotten out of a very serious relationship, a marriage. And I told him many times that I did not have it to give to him. I wanted to take things slow and that I wanted things open such that if I wanted to see somebody else, I would let him know. I would give him that courtesy. I wanted the same courtesy from him. And I didn't have 100% to commit to him at that time.
So then you had this argument and broke up?
Yes.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Mr. Spector, you keep saying that's not true, and I keep telling you that I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me your version of the events, but you keep interrupting. That's not a smart thing for you to do, because it makes you sound a little bit nutty, especially since I've told you twice not to do it.
I apologize.
Good. Now, why do you think he should pay for you to move?
I need to move, and it's due to his harassment.
Tell me about his harassment.
His harassment is the 2 threats that he's made in my life.
Well, you told me about those 2 threats. The 2 of you can't live together on the same planet.
At the same time, therefore one of us has to die.
Okay. Well, maybe he's talking about himself.
I asked him if he intended on committing suicide. He said he didn't do suicide. He had connections and people that could take care of things.
Go ahead.
And I don't feel safe at where I'm living now.
Tell me about his harassment.
He's made 2 threats in my life and says that somebody else can take care of me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what's the $600 that you say that you owe him?
During the relationship, he paid for things like when we went out to eat and shopping and such like that. He, at one time, he helped me pay for a down payment on insurance, and he also gave me $250 for my deposit for rent. So that's $350 and $250, so $600.
Just a minute. Ms. Flowers, didn't you realize that once you took money from him, you were encouraging him?
No.
You didn't realize that?
No.
Well, you should
was
have.
a gift.
Well, you should have. Once you accept gifts and things from someone, and in this case, not only gifts and things, because you said he bought you things, but cash, you are solidifying a relationship. That's not smart. All right, Mr. Spector. Let's hear your version.
Your Honor, I have never realized that when I started the relationship it was going to end this way. I met Bonnie in January. I met her in the nightclub. She's a blackjack dealer.
I don't care where you met her. You met her in January.
I met her in January.
Look at me. Don't look at your paper.
We
right
enjoyed
here.
each other's company tremendously.
You dated?
We dated. We've been always in consent with each other. About 3 weeks into the relationship, I asked her to take a trip to Vegas with me. During that time, we enjoyed each other's company. She asked me to take her to one of the stores in Caesar's Palace, where she wanted to pick out some clothes for herself. We have done that, and at that time, she said that she liked the clothes, but she didn't have money to pay for the clothes. So I said I can put it on my card, and if she likes it, she can pay me back later when she has the chance. She said, that's fine. I have the bills right here.
Mr. Spector, are you telling me that you took her shopping and you told her at this time we were sharing a room together at Caesar's Palace?
Yes, we were.
Are you trying to tell me that when you took her shopping, you said, are you going to pay me back?
I did not take her shopping, Your Honor. She said she liked something in the store that she stopped by previously. She asked me to accompany her to the store.
So you went with her
So I accompanied her to the store. Yes, Your Honor.
So you're telling me that you told her that this was just a loan of the money?
I offered her to pay for the clothes because she seemed that she really liked the clothes, but she was upset that she couldn't get them. I said, if you like, I could pay for the clothes.
That I believe. Mr. Spector, do you understand, sir? That I believe.
Okay, Your Honor.
I don't believe the last part of it, which was, and you'll pay me back.
Well, Your Honor, let's put it this way, I'm a reasonable guy. We were about 3 weeks into the relationship. I'm not just going to take some girl, take her out shopping for a couple $1,000s and say, yeah. I mean, I don't do it on every day-to-day life. Yes, I did enjoy her company, but I would not just take her shopping. I'm not a millionaire.
This is a good lesson for everybody. Let me understand this, Mr. Spector.
I am a generous person, yes.
You took her to Las Vegas.
Yes.
You shared a room together.
Yes, we did.
Look at my eyes, sir. You felt close enough to her to share a bed together.
Yes.
But you weren't going to buy her a dress, because that you wouldn't just buy any casual acquaintance a dress. Is that what you're telling me?
That is not true, Your Honor.
Is that what you're telling me?
No, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
How unchivalrous
I have bought her things on many occasions.
I'm talking about this.
That particular occasion was alone. I've bought her things before and after that
Mr.
as well.
Spector, you're not following what I'm saying to you,
I'm
sir.
trying,
Maybe
Your
it's a
Honor.
male thing.
I don't think so, Your Honor.
What you're saying to me is you felt close enough to be intimate with Miss Flowers on your trip to Las Vegas.
That's right.
But certainly, according to you, you wouldn't buy a dress for just a casual person.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's your corporate card?
Yes.
You paid for her underwear on your corporate card?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bonnie Flowers says her former boyfriend, Gene Spector, should pay her moving costs because she was driven out of her home by his threats.
What monies do you say she owes you, sir?
I'm saying she owes me about 20...
For what?
Okay, I have canceled checks here for the insurance.
All right, she says she owes you for the insurance.
That's right.
$350. And can I see the date? Can I see those checks, please?
Absolutely, Your Honor. By the way, the rent check is dated June 1st. That's after she's saying I told her I'm going to kill her or whatever.
No, destroy.
No, it's not. By the way, what kind of work do you do?
I do a lot of different things. I'm a makeup artist, blackjack dealer, that kind of thing.
Because the reason I'm asking is part of the expenses.
She's an exotic dancer
Just
as well.
a second. Is my mouth moving, Mr. Spector?
I apologize, Your Honor.
Keep apologizing. There's an interesting line somebody once told me. I think it goes something like, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Did you ever hear that line?
Sure did.
Right. The reason I'm asking that question is because you say that you want $1,000 also from him to look for a new apartment because that's how much time it would take away from your work.
About a week and a half to move and to look for an apartment.
Okay. All right, sir. I'm back to you. We're back to you with regard to the money she owes you.
I've not claiming numerous expenses that I incurred during the relationship with her because it was out of my goodwill, and I really loved the girl. I thought everything was going great between us. We're not talking about the rental expenses, how much time I wasted looking for an apartment, renting a truck, driving a truck.
Good. What are we? Don't tell me what we're not looking for. What are we looking for?
What we are looking for, I would really like to get an explanation what is inside her head. I would really love to know. I still care for the girl. I have never made no attempts or threats towards her life. I would never harm her in any way, shape, or form. I have not contacted her for about a month. I was trying to forget about the whole thing when I was served with a restraining order. That is really confusing to me. What is she trying to do? I've not made any attempts to call her. I was out for about a week. I was on vacation. She's an exotic dancer. She gives her phone number to so many people. Her phone rings day and night. I have never controlled her in any way, shape, or form. We had an agreement. She wants to see somebody, that is up to her.
Have you ever been arrested, Mr. Spector?
No, I have not.
Ever?
For traffic violations? For traffic violations, yes.
What kind of traffic violation?
Speeding.
Arrested?
Well,
for speeding?
Not arrested.
But stop. No, I'm talking about being arrested.
Well, I had a warrant for a speeding ticket that I forgot to pay, and yes, I have been
arrested
in jail.
for that?
I have been arrested for that, yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a financial consultant, and I have an indoor air quality company, as well as appliance company.
Have you ever been married?
No.
Okay. You're not going to bother her, are you?
I wasn't, for 2 months now.
Okay. That is so inaccurate.
Her restraining order is a...
Just a second. He says he hasn't bothered you in 2 months.
Her restraining order is a way to prevent me from getting my money.
When did you get a restraining order?
June 23rd.
Since your restraining order, after he was served with your restraining order.
After he was served with the restraining order.
Have you had any contact with him at all?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
The person that served him the papers went to his workplace, served him the papers, and got back in the car with me. We drove down the street, turned around, came back up. The defendant... I went down the wrong street. Turned around, came back up the street. The defendant came head-on toward my car, blocked me in the road, got out of the car, and came right beside my window.
And said what?
I did not roll down the window. I barely got by his car and the other car beside me, and I swerved around, and then I left.
That was the day he was served with the paper?
Yes, sir.
Have you had any contact with him since?
No.
Okay. Mr. Spector.
Am I allowed to say something? Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. What you described partially is true. Her friend have come to my office and served me with some papers. I took a look at them when I saw it was a court date. They are actually on a date when I was supposed to go on vacation, so I had to reschedule all the plans. I got pretty upset because she knew exactly when I was going on vacation. No. I didn't know what it was. Since I have not talked to her, since she called the police, I don't know for what reason, I still have no explanation. In my mind, I would like to believe that what she was doing was not gold digging from me. I really believe that she had some feelings for me. I would really wanted to know what feelings. And up to this date, I have no explanation. That was the only reason I went out of my office when I saw she was outside.
Listen to me.
Yes.
She don't like you anymore.
That's fine. I would like to hear that.
Do you like him
I would like to hear that.
You want to hear it?
Yes,
Tell
please.
him.
He threatened my life. I don't want anything to do with
that.
him.
That had never happened. Okay. That's a lie, Your Honor.
Mr. Spector?
Yes.
If that's a lie, trust me, sir, this is the truth. She don't like you anymore.
Great.
Understand?
That's fine.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He said that one of us has to die, and he will either do it himself or have somebody else do it.
Why aren't you dead yet?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gene Spector, a financial consultant, says his ex-girlfriend, Bonnie Flowers, owes him for money he loaned her when they were together. Bonnie says she left to escape his threats.
She owes you $600 that she acknowledges. What other money do you say she owes you, sir?
Here's all the receipts, Your Honor. This is a receipt for the shopping that she said she will pay me back.
No.
And this is a receipt for...
Don't say anything till I ask you.
This is a receipt for... She asked me to accompany her to Victoria's Secret because she had a gift certificate from her mother that she wanted to redeem there. When we got there, she picked out a lot of lingerie. When we got to the counter, the gift certificate wasn't enough. She didn't have any money with her. I said, what do you want to do? She said, can you pay for it? I'll pay you later. I said, fine. That's my corporate card.
No.
I didn't even pay for it myself.
That's your corporate card?
Yes, Your Honor.
You paid for her underwear on your corporate card? You expect the government?
I wanted to get a record.
What?
Okay, I am very good with records. I didn't want to pay cash. I wanted to get a record because I felt something was wrong already at that time. I didn't know what. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Did he buy some things for you at Victoria's Secrets?
Yes, he did. He told me several times that he wanted to take me there, and I did have a gift certificate. He said that he wanted to get a bathrobe for me, and we did not find a bathrobe, so we picked out other things together.
Let me tell you, I still have a problem with you, Miss Flowers, and let me tell you what the problem is, madam. When we started this case, you told me that you had some problems with him. You had problems with him practically from the beginning, but certainly by May, June, at the end, he had become controlling. He had gone through your purse, he had gone through your cards, he had read your journal, and all those other things. And on June 1st, you let him go buy underwear for you in Victoria's Secrets.
I liked him a great deal.
Well, if you liked him, then if you want to move, you do it on your dime. Do you understand?
I understand.
Because I'm not giving you any money to move. You're not supposed to encourage somebody and let them spend a lot of money on gifts, presents, whatever else it is, while all the time in the back of your mind you're saying, this relationship is going nowhere because he's too controlling. This relationship is going nowhere because he's too suspicious. This relationship is going nowhere because he's too jealous. If that's the case, you're supposed to do a decent thing and not let him spend any money on you, which suggests to him that your relationship is going somewhere. That's just something that comes under the category of not nice about that. So you feel as if you want to move? Move. Yourself. You owe him $600.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Now, sir, you listen to me. I don't believe for 1 minute that you took this lady to Caesar's Palace and she ran up a $2,000 bill and you expected her to pay you back. I find...
Your Honor,
Listen,
you were incorrect.
listen.
It was $1,300 for the clothes.
$1,300
We're not talking about the bill for the room and everything else. That amount, I don't want to say what. That was never asked of her. That was me.
Mr. Spector?
Yes, sir.
Write it off to a good lesson, sir.
Oh, I am. I've done it.
Perfect. She owes you the $600. She says it was $600. It really comes out to $551, doesn't it? Let me make sure.
No, actually,
no, it comes out to $601. $601. So in any event, the judgment in this case is for the defendant in the amount of $601.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And the plaintiff's case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. There you go, ma'am. Have the back foot to your right. Oh, I'll walk you out.
You can walk me out.
On the next Judge Judy.
What she claims is ridiculous. She had mental problems before that she was taken to the hospital by her mother when she was a teenager. She's a compulsive liar. That was the problem.
He said that one of us has to die and he will either do it himself or have somebody else do it.
Why aren't you dead yet?
Say Quincy Smith and his pals harassed and threw beer bottles at them during a drunken bus.
Chaydez versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Are you two folks married?
No.
Dating?
Yes.
Do you live together?
No.
I have co-complaints. One $4,000 filed by You. The other $500
Yes.
filed by you. And you are claiming that the defendant, while in the company of several others, assaulted you by throwing bottles which shattered on you.
Correct.
And the car.
And the car that you were in. And according to your complaint, sir, you were in a car with a lot of other people.
Yes, limo bus.
A bus. A limo bus. So why don't you first tell me about this limo bus, and then we'll get to what happened with it.
It was mine and my twin brother's 21st birthday, and we rented it so that all our friends could gather together, all go as one, no one would drink and drive, and we could go bar hopping.
And you did that?
Yes.
What time did you board this bus?
Approximately around 8.
And how many bars had you been to before you came on the plaintiffs?
1.
What time did this occur?
About 11:30.
You hit more than one bar between 8 and 11:30?
No, ma'am.
So you stayed in that bar for how long?
A couple hours.
Okay.
We also, I mean, we drove around. It's a nice bus. I mean, you like to spend time in it. It has a VCR, a sound system, everything like that. People can dance, walk around. It's very large.
And how many people were in this bus?
Approximately 25, give or take a few.
And you paid for the bus?
No.
And they...
Everyone pitched in the same amount, about approximately $20.
Now, you spent a couple of hours in a bar, one bar, you said. Is that right?
Yes.
So you made another stop or two on the way. Go to a liquor store?
Yes.
How many liquor stores did you go to?
Okay, we stopped off at a supermarket when we first entered the bus, got some alcohol, drinks, whatnot, went to the, went to the first bar, spent some time there, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I don't know. And then we went to the next liquor store.
So you bought liquor twice?
Yes.
So everyone was pretty well blotto?
No.
Well, when we ran into the defendant here, they were pretty much intoxicated.
Well, why don't you tell me how, unfortunately, you came upon this birthday party?
Well, we had just come home from Barbara's parents' house. It was about 11:30 at night. The only entranceway into our house is through an alley. At that point, we were living together. Now we're not. There was a limo bus parked blocking the entire alleyway. It was parked illegally. People were outside of the bus urinating on the buildings, and they had open containers. We waited a few minutes. We honked, tried to get them to move up. They didn't comply. At that point, Barbara got out of the vehicle and asked one of the members to move.
Somebody that was outside of the bus?
Correct.
Where was the driver of the bus?
We were at the rear end of the bus. We approached the first person we saw.
The driver of the bus was in there the whole time.
Just a second. So you approached Barbara, the first person that you saw at the rear of the bus, and said, could you please move?
Yeah, asked very politely, and he just slurred in my face and told me to screw off, go around, we're not doing it. And I just didn't know what to do and asked him to get out of the car, which he did.
Your Honor?
Sit. So did you get out
When she entered the vehicle again, and I could tell that they told her no, I then got out of the car. Now, keep
What's
in
your
mind,
first name?
John.
John! My first issue with you, sir, is what?
Couldn't tell you.
Can you tell him?
I think so.
You came across a bunch of people that you saw outside urinating on buildings, John. You don't send your girlfriend out of the car to tell them to move. You get out of the car to tell them to move.
This was, we didn't see all this until we got out of the car, till both of us were out of the car.
I mean, I don't see late at night you going by yourself to this group of people. You know.
There was a lot of girls, too, a lot of young girls around with them, too. I mean, it just looked like a bunch of partiers, so we didn't think anything of it. We asked politely. When they were rude and everything, that's when we just got back in our car and waited.
Who did you ask?
Hey, listen to me.
We never got off the bus. We never, my cousin, this is my cousin right here.
This is my witness.
And my teammate, and we never got off the bus ever.
Did I ask you a question?
Well, I can't stand
Did I ask you, just a second, did I ask you a question?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When Barbara entered the vehicle, I got out of the vehicle, went up to the first person I saw and said, hey, this is the only way to get to our house. Can you please move up the bus? When I got out of the vehicle, of course, other members of the party came up. They see a guy coming out, automatically everybody's instincts comes into play, and then when they create a confrontation. As soon as he said no, I threw up my hands and said, okay. I mean, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go up to a whole group of guys and pick a fight with them.
So what
Two
did
or
you
three,
do?
yeah, whole group, no. At that point, we got back in the vehicle and waited. This is a very busy street. We have a large police force that patrols the area. I figured, hey, we'll get in the car, a cop's going to come by. These people are going to get busted. They're plastered. No cop came by. We waited about 2-3 minutes. People started getting back in the bus. It pulled up. At that point, we said, great. Pulled into the alleyway, go up, I'd say, about 50 feet to our fence, which you have to get out of the car to unlock the padlock to get into our driveway. When I exited the car to unlock the gate, I heard, hey, you want to start something? I turned to my left. I saw a group of guys coming at me with bottles in hand. As soon as I saw this group approaching us, I turned to Barbara and I said, get in the car now. At that point, she looked at me, eye contact. A bottle flew right past her face. Hit the car, exploded. Dove into the car, and we gunned it. As soon as we slammed the doors, the back window shattered from a beer bottle. Okay,
Bottles. A lot
bottles,
of beer bottles.
plural, lots of bottles. We immediately sped up. I mean, I don't know how we didn't hit nothing going down our alley, going that fast. Went directly to 7-Eleven down the road and called 911. At that point, the bus pulls by, stops at the red light. All the members on the left-hand side of the bus roll down their window and laugh at us while we're standing there calling the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is going to be a more expensive birthday party than you thought. Much more expensive.
And later today,
His mother doesn't want him to have this car. He knew that, which is why he kept it a secret. You took advantage of him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Wilson and Barbara Chaydez say Quincy Smith and his pals harassed and threw beer bottles at them during a drunken bus ride. Quincy claims he's innocent and not responsible for his friend's actions.
So the windshield was shattered. The back windshield was shattered
Correct.
on your car. And who was hit with the glass?
I was barely missed by it, and it hit my car door and shattered all over me. I had to take a shower and take all my, totally change and everything because I had glass everywhere.
What was the damage to the car?
We have pictures.
We have
of the
pictures and
vehicle.
bills.
Now, once the police did arrive to come take our statement, they immediately got a priority call that there had been an altercation at a bar down the street, so they had to leave us. Well, it turns out the altercation was this member and his party had stopped at their next bar and assaulted 2 police officers.
Undercover cops or something. We don't know the whole story.
Okay, now I'll hear from you.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that I have empathy for the plaintiffs. What happened to was an awful thing. Should never happen to anyone. But I know for a fact they can't say I did it because I never even got off the bus. They can never pinpoint me out. I didn't get off the bus. I don't know what happened off the bus. I mean, even if the bus driver would have saw something, I mean, it was his responsibility to stay there.
Which bus company did you use?
It was, I believe it was called VIP limo buses.
When you called them, how many people did you say were going to be on the bus?
About approximately 25. You can get, the buses they have will fill 20 to 25, and I believe they even have one larger than that.
And when you called the bus company, did you have to reserve the bus with a credit card?
No.
When did you pay them?
You pay a deposit down,
Well,
and then when,
a
then when they arrive, you pay the rest.
Well, I'm asking you,
Okay.
did you pay the deposit in cash or a credit card?
Check.
A check?
Yes.
Yours or your brother's?
Mine.
Yours. So let me understand this, Mr. Smith.
Okay.
You rented the bus.
Yes.
You, sir, are absolutely right that these people can, in all probability, not say who it was who threw a bottle other than the group. Is that right?
That's correct.
That doesn't make you not responsible for this incident, sir.
It didn't even happen on the bus that I was responsible for.
Oh, it happened, sir.
It happened,
with
yes.
people. It happened with people that you invited to celebrate your birthday on a bus. You are still, sir, responsible for the behavior of those people. You. Because somebody is guilty and somebody is innocent. Now, they don't know who it is, but you, who arranged this party, are responsible for their losses because you are in the unique position, sir, if you are not drunk, to know who in that party got off the bus and who in that party actually damaged their property and attempted to assault them with what I consider a deadly instrument, which is a heavy beer bottle.
So,
not them. They're not in that unique position to know. You are.
So I'm responsible for everyone on the bus.
Every single person.
On the bus and off. Everyone who was also an adult.
Every single person that was partying with you at your birthday party, sir. You hired the bus.
I never got off the bus. I don't know.
Doesn't make any difference, sir.
It does to me.
This is going to be a more expensive birthday party than you thought. Much more expensive. Now, you have something that you believe is meaningful to this case that you wish to contribute?
Yeah, I do, Your Honor.
Sure.
First of all,
Step up right there.
Okay, I'm sorry. My cousin and myself never got off the bus at any point. And
didn't you understand what I just said?
I don't know how you can expect him to keep track of 25 people.
He invited them to his bus.
So how is he supposed to keep track of it if they're all adults?
If he can't keep track of them, then he shouldn't have invited them. And if they didn't do anything wrong, then he wouldn't be standing here today, sir.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
he had it for a week and a half. He's blown the motor in it now. What good is it to me?
When you deal with a minor, you deal with a minor at your own risk.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
He invited them to come on board for a drinking evening. He is therefore responsible for everything that transpires during the course of that evening. And one of the things that transpired was these people were put in fear of their lives. And if he wishes to turn around and do some detective work and try to figure out who it was that got off the bus and threw bottles at them and smashed their cars,
I hope he would.
That's no, you.
No, I
not
hope he
them.
would. My cousin doesn't want to be here. Do you think if he knew who did it, he would be taking the blame for this?
Well, then he should have been more
here.
selective about who he invited on the bus. And he should have seen to it that once the people on the bus started to drink a little too much and started to get a little out of control, he said to the bus driver, who he had hired, because you remember, he sent the check, he hired the bus. These people are a little too unruly. You better take us home because I don't know what's going to happen with them. You, sir, between these innocents and you, you're responsible. Judgment in this case is for one plaintiff in the amount, Barbara, in the amount of $1,000, and you, sir, the amount of $500 as requested. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. There you go. Sorry. I'll get back to your record, please.
These people do deserve money, but I believe I'm not the one responsible for it. I think I would have been much better off using a different defense, like the bloody glove defense. This is just ridiculous.
And now the next case.
All parties on Schramm Snyder versus Blankenship. Step forward, please.
Bookkeeper Vera Schramm says her neighbor, 29-year-old Marcy Blankenship, ripped off her 15-year-old son Toby when she sold him a car that doesn't run.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
You went and bought a car from the defendant.
Yes.
Did you tell your parents?
No.
Why?
Because I thought they'd say no.
How much did you pay for this car?
$400.
Where'd you get the money from?
My bank account.
When did you find out that he had bought the car?
Almost a week later, on November 4th.
You're his mother?
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that he bought the car.
I had called his friend's house to see if he was there. And while I was on the phone, the other parent said, by the way, I'm a little concerned about what we're going to do with Toby's car. I said, car? What do you mean car? Like vehicle? He says, oh yeah, it's parked out on the street, and what are we going to do for street sweeping day? I said, didn't know anything about it. Where did he get it? How long has he had it? So of course we went right over and visited the car and the parents, and I got the paperwork.
Now, you were keeping this a secret?
Yes.
How old were you when you bought the car?
15.
How did you find this car?
I was walking home from my friend's house and I just saw it on the street.
They have a for sale sign?
Yes.
How much were they asking for the car?
$700.
So you paid $400?
Yes.
Who drove the car to where it was ultimately parked?
We pushed it because it didn't run.
How far did you have to push it?
Like 6 or 7 blocks.
Did you ever move the car?
Oh, yeah, and we pushed it to the mechanic. Because she said all it needed was a tune-up, so we pushed it because it was right by his house.
Did you get it tuned up?
Yes,
How much did that cost you?
$55.
And then what happened with the car?
Still didn't run because we took it and we got we got it checked and stuff, and it said that one of the cylinders was bad, so
What'd your mother say when she found out you bought this car?
she was real mad. And then she put me on punishment.
Where'd you get this $400 from? Did you work for the money?
I went to work in the summer with my dad.
So, you sold him a car.
Yes, I did.
Did you ask him how old he was?
No, I didn't.
Doesn't look 18 to me.
He knew about the car. He phoned 3 times on the car. He came by inquiring about the car twice. I asked him if the first night he came by if he wanted to drive it or if he wanted to leave me a deposit, and I would be more than happy to take the for sale signs off of it. He said no, he didn't have his wallet with him. So I figured he didn't want to drive it because he didn't have his license with him, and that was fine. I showed him the car in and out. I started it up for him and everything, and he didn't have a problem with it. He said it was perfect. He'd be back the next day to please not sell it.
How come I ask you if he doesn't look 18 and you give me this whole long story? Doesn't look 18 to me. Now, you may not know this, but I'm going to tell you now. You cannot enter into a contract with a minor because they're not always so clever. So that's why we have laws that protect minors from entering into contracts. So you have to give him his money back.
He had it for a week and a half. He's blown the motor in it now. What good is it to me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Vera Schramm is suing Marcy Blankenship because she sold her 15-year-old son Toby a car that doesn't run. Marcy claims she didn't know Toby was a minor.
When you deal with a minor, you deal with a minor at your own risk. Anybody who has half an eye can see that this young man is not the age of majority. You took advantage of him. I believe that you took advantage of him. And you can't do that. So you owe him $400. Sir, you paid $55 to have the car tuned up?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to eat that.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a form of punishment. I'm sure your mother has something else planned for you if she hasn't already conjured up the appropriate punishment, including, at 15 years old, would seem to me, requiring somebody else to sign off if he wants to go take money out of the bank.
Absolutely. That's a lesson to be learned.
Sure is. So judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. You did return the car?
Not yet.
Do it. She's got to get the car. He's got to get his money back, at least part of it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back to you right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yeah.
कपड़े पर रानी केड़ा पाटे